They referred to him as a god among people, a wise one who had uncovered all the mysteries of the heavenly realm. Gods shouldn't be bleeding on the ground. Gasping for air, this so-called divine mage grips his chest, helpless against an illness that no spell can cure. Everyone admired him as unbeatable, yet tonight, his body lets him down. At that instant, the hidden charm he crafted begins to unravel. When he opens his eyes, the mage first notices his hands. Hold on, these are the tiny hands of a baby. The mage is still amazed by his new look when a woman comes over to the crib and lovingly lifts him up as he stirs from his sleep. A man walks in, grinning as he asks the woman about how Lucian is. Even though he just got up, Lucian looks a bit drowsy. The baby mage watches the man and woman talk and quickly sees how joyful they both are. They are his new parents, and he is now called Lucian. Lifting his hand a bit, the young mage notices how smooth his hands feel. It's a stark contrast to his previous life. Just as Lucian was about to think more, another magical creature suddenly appeared upside down in front of him. Startled, Lucian waved his hands wildly to alert his parents about the unexpected visitor. The man just laughs and brushes off Lucian's warnings. He has already ensured that Lucian's parents can't see him or comprehend anything their baby says. It's time for introductions. After welcoming the wise one in his new form and name, Lucian, the man presents himself as what people refer to as God. Lucian furrows his brow, wondering why this god is familiar with him. The mischievous god gives him a wink, revealing that he knows all about the sage, his regrets, and his dreams. God observed everything unfold in the sage's previous life. God was present as the sage took his final breaths. He came to visit the wise old man, who was alone and nearing the end of his life, regretting that he never took on a student. Yet, deep down, the wise man realized that even if he had shared his wisdom and skills, no one would truly grasp them. He dedicated all his time and energy to his magical studies. At that stage, the sage ignored any criticism about his unusual ways. The downside is that when he dies, all his spells and potions will disappear with him. Everything he created will be lost. That's why he promised to change his ways in his next life. The wise one pledges to spread his knowledge and talents everywhere, making a difference in the realm of magic. He'll ensure that everyone can enjoy a successful life with his magical skills. If he meets someone special, he plans to marry and start a family. If that's not an option, the wise one agrees to mentor a student this time. It seems the sage's candle has finally burned out. It's unfortunate that the wise man was all alone. He never imagined he would face his final moments without anyone by his side. The deity witnessed everything. As he looked at the sage's form, he wholeheartedly supported his wish to make a mark in the realm of magic. The god noticed that the advancement of today's magical technology was moving slower than anticipated. He felt a similar desire and goal as the sage. To help both of them achieve their dreams, the god grants the sage a blessing in the form of Lucian to assist him on his journey. Lucian, puzzled, observes as the god's finger presses against his forehead. A glow shines from the god's touch, and Lucian then reaches up to his own forehead. He pays attention as the god shares the story of how Lucian pursued and perfected his skills and magic. Lucian used to be an oddball and a rebel. This is how he became the mage of the divine realm, so impressive that even a god had to recognize him. The god strolls over to the door. As he says goodbye to Lucian, now the messenger of the gods, the god wishes him good fortune in his new life. Lucian, taken aback, gazes at the door in disbelief. Did that god just walk through the front door like everyone else? Luckily, only one of Lucian's parents saw it swing open and shut. Anyway, let's return to this caring family. The dad begins to poke Lucian's cheek. When the dad notices Lucian's silence, he remarks on how calm their baby is, hardly making a sound. Just a little while ago, he was full of energy. The dad makes an effort to lift Lucian's spirits by calling him a genius. Meanwhile, the mom gently comforts him with affection. For her, it doesn't matter what Lucian is, as long as he grows up healthy and strong. Soon, the appraiser shows up and asks if Lucian is the one she'll be meeting. The mother happily agrees and places Lucian on the bed following the appraiser's guidance. The appraiser is about to evaluate Lucian and assess his abilities. With Lucian settled on the bed, his mom can't hide her excitement about what talent he might have. Even his dad is speculating that Lucian could become a powerful mage. Watch what you wish for. With a smile, the appraiser compliments the mom and dad for being loving parents, particularly noting that they aren't related to any nobility. The appraiser begins her evaluation of Lucian, who already feels guilty about his actions. He must hide his true talent from her. This little one is using a hiding spell to prevent the appraiser's magic from working. The appraiser looks puzzled now since she can't see anything properly. Lucian, meanwhile, attempts to use his appraisal magic on himself. It's impressive that the concealment magic is effectively hiding his skills as well. Lucian calls up his stats. A screen pops up in front of him, and he quickly clicks to check what spells he can cast at the moment. It seems he has many skills. He can work with space, forge items, create enchantments, practice alchemy, manipulate gravity, and receive divine protection from God. This is to prevent any kind of bad luck. Lucian now realizes what the god intended by giving him this blessing. The god granted Lucian the ability to wield various types of magic. What Lucian fails to notice is that he spoke his thoughts aloud, surprising everyone present. They just listened to Lucian speak, but they couldn't accept it. Lucian speaks again, curious about what kind of magic he can perform with his body at this moment. His parents hurried to the crib, stunned by what they had just learned. Could their child truly be a genius? The appraiser was so surprised by Lucian's words that her legs felt weak. Lucian now understands that the god must have lifted the spell on his parents before. That's why Lucian's message can finally be heard. Realizing that these people will look after him, Lucian chooses to greet his parents properly. Lucian activates his shadow double magic, which helps when someone is hurt or struggling to move. In this case, the shadow mimics their normal actions. The baby is now upright in front of his parents. Before the grown-ups could respond, Lucian warmly greeted his mom and dad, telling them not to be shocked by something so minor. He then lowered his head to show respect, asking for their kindness since they will be taking care of him for a while. His parents are amazed by how polite Lucian is. It feels like they're having a serious conversation with someone who has the power to make them sit down. Lucian rises into the sky, appreciating how useful this magic is for him. His parents watch in awe, impressed by how noble their son appears. Despite how Lucian takes a seat, their son looks adorable just hovering in the air. The appraiser is left speechless. Right now, feeling sick from a spell of rebirth, you can't pick your parents. However, Lucian was fortunate to have kind and caring ones. As the mother softly pulls Lucian close, the baby sage snuggles against her chest, drifting off to sleep. This marks the beginning of his new life. 6 years later, Lucian is now 6 years old and happily immersed in a picture book. His mom suddenly appears to ask him what he wants for dinner. With leftover meat from yesterday, Lucian eagerly says yes. Over the 6 years with his new family, he has gained a deep understanding of them. The Gildor family are farmers. The father's name is Sammy, and the mother's name is Sophia. The three of them share a modest and peaceful house. Even though they don't have much money, Lucian is completely satisfied. He loves being the child of such caring parents. However, the one issue he faces is that the Gildor family doesn't have any books at all. Up to this point, Lucian hasn't discovered anything about where he is. He managed to get some books from the elderly man. Mr. Forson lives just 2 houses away from them. Meanwhile, Lucian is left with only picture books because Mr. Forson believes that history books are too complicated for a 6-year-old. While flipping through a picture book, Sophia notices something that grabs her attention. She gestures to a photo of a mountain that lacks a top. This is Full Moon Mountain, a well-known place in the Gastana kingdom. Legend has it that a dragon once breathed so fiercely in its sleep that it blew the top off the mountain around 500 years ago. A cherished memory for Sophia is when she and Sammy visited that tourist spot before they tied the knot. Sophia's cheerful mood shifts to panic when she spots Lucian banging his head on the book. The concerned mom fears that Lucian might have a stomachache. Lucian quietly assures his mom that he's okay. Deep down, he feels extremely embarrassed about what actually occurred on that mountain. In a previous life, Lucian once sneezed and wiped out a section of the mountain. He definitely can't share this with his mom, especially since it happened 500 years ago. This simply means that this is the same country where Lucian lived before. He didn't recognize the name because it has changed over the years. Lucian tells Sophia that he is heading out to give the picture book back to Mr. Forson. With Sophia's go-ahead, Lucian heads over to the old man's place. As he walks, he reflects on what he just discovered. It's been 500 years since then. He had totally erased the memory of that sneeze mishap by the royal city. Lucian isn't sure he can achieve that again in his present form. After his magical evaluation as an infant, he fell ill with a fever from the reaction and had to stay in bed. Even with strong abilities, a young body can't manage everything at once. Lucian has been slowly training his body to cope with his immense magical strength. Now that Lucian is 6 years old, he can start using some advanced spells. He has finally reached Mr. Lucian knocks on the door of Forson's house. When the old man answers, Lucian steps inside with a friendly greeting. Mr. Forson notices the book in Lucian's hand and figures that the young boy has already read it all. After expressing his gratitude to Mr. Forson for the book, Lucian gives it back to him. The elderly man asks the young sage if he liked the book. Lucian gives an awkward smile and admits he didn't enjoy it. Mr. Forson chuckles, believing the book might have been too difficult for Lucian to grasp. He looks at the neatly arranged books on his shelf and asks Lucian which one he'd like to take home next. Lucian then inquires if Mr. Forson had some books on magic. Chuckling again, Mr. Forson mentions that he owns many useful books, but sadly, magic books are typically only found in wealthy families. This confuses Lucian, who grew up in a time when most homes had a few on their bookshelves. Out of the blue, Anna, Mr. Forson's granddaughter, walks in and interrupts them. Mr. Forson playfully asks the girl if she would like to join him in a game. Anna brushes him off and goes directly to Lucian to see if he wants to play. Mr. Forson is really upset about how his granddaughter reacted and is sitting alone in a corner, feeling gloomy. He sadly asks Lucian to spend some time playing with Anna as a way to show gratitude for lending him the book. Anna and Lucian head outside to relax by a tree. Anna asks Lucian if he comes from a noble family, but he shakes his head and says no. He claims to be the oldest son of a farmer, but Anna won't drop it. She presses him, asking why he was chatting with Gramps about magic earlier. Lucian discovers something fascinating about this time period. Anna reveals that only the nobility is allowed to use magic. Lucian struggles to understand that idea. He even suggests to Anna that she might have misheard, but Anna firmly repeats it, this time addressing Mr. Forson's voice as well. Only those of noble birth can wield magic. Regular folks like them wouldn't be able to manage it even if they tried their hardest. Lucian still doubts this, believing it could simply be due to Mr. Forson was getting old, or perhaps he was just dozing off then. How can that be right when magic is meant to be available for everyone? Even he, the oldest son of a farmer, is included. It's similar to how every person breathes. Everyone can use magic in some way. With his arms crossed, Lucian understands that people vary in the types of magic they can perform and how challenging it is for them. Back then, everyone knew that. Lucian is amazed at how much things have changed now. Just look at him. He comes from a farming family, yet he handles magic effortlessly. He shakes off his thoughts when Anna catches his eye. The young girl steps up to Lucian and quietly asks if she can learn magic too. When Lucian agrees, Anna squeals with delight and begs him to show her how. Lucian then starts to think, trying to come up with a type of magic that's easy for a child like Anna to learn. He then recalls the magic of the hand spinner. It was an easy and straightforward trick, which made it very popular with kids during Lucian's era. Lucian opens his hand, creating a swirling breeze that dances above it, leaving Anna in awe. Curious about his trick, she asks how he did it, and the young sage eagerly agrees to show her. She needs to collect magical energy in her hand first, but this initial step is tough for Anna. She does her utmost to gather magical energy in her hand, but nothing happens. A sobbing Anna yells in frustration. Seeing Anna in tears, Lucian finds it odd. When he was a kid, they could easily perform that simple magic trick just for fun. In today's world, aren't kids being taught how to use magic? Lucian figures that it's likely because what people know has shifted over the past 500 years. Lucian suddenly understands that his parents were surprised to see him use magic. Just then, Anna stops crying when she hears a voice close by. They both trace the sound and discover a hurt animal. Lucian isn't sure what kind it is, but he knows for certain that it's in pain. Lucian tells Anna to stay away, as it could be a monster acting innocent. He crouches down and uses his magic to figure out what kind of creature it is. Surprisingly, it's a fairy. While forest fairies typically look like plants, this one appears to be a blend of a creature and a spirit. The fairy weeps in distress, and Anna feels tears welling up again. Lucian then promises Anna that he will assist the fairy, even naming it Ron. With his healing magic, Lucian reaches out to Ron. A warm light envelops Ron's wounds, and soon enough, Ron is grinning joyfully at Lucian and Anna. Ron is up and about again. Anna is happy to see the fairy feeling better. Lucian advises Ron to stay still since he only provided basic first aid and couldn't completely fix Ron's injury. It would be helpful if they had a healing potion with them. When potions are mentioned, Anna pulls out the one she has. Her grandpa gave it to her for emergencies. Anna is a very pampered granddaughter. While looking at the potion, Lucian observes that it looks murky. This simply indicates that the quality is poor. Even if he handed it to Ron, it wouldn't make a difference. They quickly shift their focus to a group of men pursuing a deadly boar. Things aren't looking great for Anna and Lucian as the boar charges toward them. Its huge tusks and fierce look are charging right at them, but Anna is so terrified that she feels stuck to the ground. With no other option available, Lucian resorts to magic for protection. He reaches out to a tiny branch and, using his powers to alter its structure and shape, transforms the small plant into a massive tree. With the tree successfully stopping the death boar's charge, Lucian snaps his fingers to cast Ignite, unleashing a fierce flame on the creature. The men stand in stunned silence as the death boar is instantly reduced to ashes. They quickly figure out that Lucian is the son of a Gildor farmer. This leaves them puzzled about how he can use magic since he doesn't come from a noble family. A man in armor quickly approaches the scene. He came in response to a call for help, but he's taken aback to find the deadly boar has been transformed into a perfectly cooked roast. As soon as Lucian spots the soldier, he rushes over, eager to find out if he knows anything about magic. He quickly tells the soldier that he cooked the boar with ignite, leaving the soldier astonished. The soldier can't accept that Lucian used magic. It's not possible because only nobles have that power. No ordinary person can use magic, no matter what they do. The soldier mockingly laughs at Lucian for telling untruths. With his fists tightened, Lucian realizes that this time is truly unusual. It seems that none of these people are considering using healing magic for the injured or using elemental magic to repair fallen trees and broken homes. What has the world been like in the 500 years since Lucian passed away? Lucian ponders this, considering all the different possibilities that could explain it. Anna rushes over to him with Ron, expressing her gratitude to the young sage for rescuing her. Her eyes sparkle with excitement as she shares with Lucian just how incredible magic is. She happily remembers how the wood made a whoosh sound and the fire went foo. It was so exciting for a kid like Anna, who dreams of using magic just like Lucian. When Anna spoke up, Lucian understood it was what the god had referred to during his childhood. The advancement of magical technology in this time is not as fast as he had anticipated. The god is worried. Lucian gently pats Anna's head and assures her that with effort and determination, she can achieve her goals. Magic should be something everyone can access. So why is it that people here struggle to perform even the simplest spells? Lucian has a lot to learn. Only those of noble birth can wield magic. Regular folks can't access it. Despite his many questions, Lucian won't accept the current state of magic. Lucian is determined to change everything. He will challenge old beliefs and fixed ideas, promising to build a world where everyone has the chance to learn magic, helping everyone lead better lives. Thinking back, Lucian would often draw shapes in the air with magic. People remarked that it was just another part of his daily routine as a sage. Lucian is always excited, so he writes magical symbols wherever he goes. That's just what he's doing today. With a wave of his hand, Lucian collects magic and starts jotting down notes in the air. In the past, everyone did the same thing. They didn't use paper or pens to take notes. Those weren't necessary back then. They simply jotted everything in the air and then compacted it to take along. It's a really handy method. As young Lucian wraps up his drawing, he looks at Anna, his student, who says she can only see a wall. This makes Lucian freeze, halting his excited writing. He then attempts to draw in the air and asks his mom if she can see it. Sophia just smiles at her son and asks if Lucian is trying out a new dance. Lucian remains unsure and heads over to his dad. Sadly, Sammy struggles to see the enchanting words and even wonders if Lucian wrote, "I love you, Dad," in the sky. In frustration, Lucian abruptly halts his writing. He is really confused that only he can see the magical symbols. After the death boar incident the other day, Lucian realized that the magic technology of this time hasn't improved at all. It has actually gotten worse. That night, Lucian lies awake, unable to stop thinking about the problem he's dealing with. It's frustrating that these folks think only the wealthy can wield magic. Even if he attempts to show them his methods, they still wouldn't get it. Lucian stays up all night brainstorming a strategy. His first step is to share the basics of magic in a way that's easy for everyone to grasp, including his parents and Anna, who knows nothing about it. It's like a simple guide to magic for beginners. However, all this writing encounters another issue. How can Lucian get them to read his guide if they can't even find it? With no other option, Lucian decides to talk to his dad the following day. Anna joins him for encouragement. Without thinking twice, Lucian asks his dad for what he desires. Sammy is amazed and touched that his son has just made a request. It's the very first time Lucian has asked for something. Thrilled, Sammy kneels down to Lucian's level and eagerly asks what he needs, willing to do anything, even tackle a fierce boar. But when Lucian requests a pen and paper, Sammy's enthusiasm vanishes in an instant. Sammy apologizes, saying he can't get paper for Lucian. Honestly, handling a death boar is much simpler than finding paper. Anna explains to the young sage that paper is really valuable. Even Mr. Forson, a book collector, has no paper at all. Why is it so difficult to find paper these days? Isn't it odd for someone to have books but no paper? Sammy folds his arms and tells Lucian that paper costs a lot of money. He spotted it for sale in town, but had never actually handled it before. If Lucian decided to buy some, it would take nearly a month's worth of their budget. It's really pricey. Even Lucian is starting to sweat after finding this out. In the past, paper was quite affordable due to improvements in magical tech. It's hard to believe how costly it has become after 500 years. Sammy gives Lucian a gentle pat on the head and asks if he needs anything other than paper. He reflects on how Lucian usually takes care of things on his own, which makes Sammy feel a bit lonely since he isn't needed as much. Suddenly, Ron dashes and leaps into Lucian's arms. Anna then inquires about the fairy's location, explaining that she's been searching everywhere for him. This adorable little creature vanished right after the whole Death Boar event. When Sammy sees Ron for the first time, he asks his son if Ron is a monster. Lucian tells him that Ron is a fox and asks if he can keep it. Sammy can actually go along with this idea. Feeling happy about agreeing to keep Ron, Sammy declares it a fantastic day. Lucian has not only made a request for the first time, but is also showing interest in Sammy's work. Lucian wants to find some paper to create a grimoire. If it takes a month's salary, he needs to find a way to earn that money on his own. Lucian notices some of his dad's work tools. As he looks them over, he sees they have been used a lot and show signs of rust in a few spots. The blades are even nicked. While his dad is occupied, Lucian works his magic on the tools, skillfully improving them. His enchanting efforts are overlooked, and soon after, Sammy leads them outside to begin mowing the lawn. While Lucian cheers for his father, the young thinker contemplates his strategy to make money for paper. He could create paper using magic like he did before, but Lucian lacks the necessary materials, and it would take too long to produce enough. Chasing down many monsters in the forest is not an option either, as he is unsure how it would affect the environment. As Sammy is ready to trim a section of grass with his newly fixed tool, it unexpectedly slices through the entire patch. Startled, Sammy grips his scythe tightly and calls out to his son. He glances at the grass behind him and is surprised to find it completely trimmed. This was Lucian's plan from the start. Since his ideas aren't practical, the next step is to help his father, the main provider for the family, improve his work productivity. This will also raise their income. Sammy can relax now that the grass is trimming itself. Lucian watches it with pride. He applied smithing magic to boost the tool's effectiveness, and then added a wind spell to expand its range. It seems Lucian may have gone a little overboard. While sharing sandwiches at lunch, Lucian tells his dad that he's been using magic on the side. It's not just to help Sammy, there's more to it. It's now simpler because it often takes him hours to mow the lawn. Sammy feels proud to have a son like Lucian, who is truly cherished by magic. Upon hearing this, Lucian feels a bit shy and tells his dad it's really no big deal. However, for Sammy, it feels like a miracle. He then tells Lucian not to flaunt his magic and to avoid using it for bad purposes. Lucian grins while munching on his sandwich, nodding in agreement with Sammy. Sammy isn't concerned at all. He trusts that Lucian is a decent kid. Lucian was considering collecting some old farm tools, casting spells on them, and then selling them to the villagers for a good profit. Surely, his father wouldn't suspect him, would he? While Lucian munches on his sandwich, he spots the struggling plant nearby. It looks like it's not thriving. Sammy says this area has been affected by bugs. He has been trying to deal with them, but there isn't much else he can do. When Lucian inquires whether he used pesticides to eliminate the bugs, Sammy replies that they aren't very effective and cost a lot. This year, all the fields have been affected by these pests. The lack of rain isn't making things any better. To make matters worse, a wild boar has come along and is damaging the crops. The whole village is at a loss. After hearing everything, Lucian quickly gets to his feet. That was just what he wanted to hear. Lucian quickly bows to Sammy and tells his dad he has to leave because something important came up. Anna trails behind Lucian as he examines the wilting plants. He uses his magic to assess their condition. Even with better farm tools to boost productivity, crops can still suffer due to weather and surroundings. With the help of appraisal magic, Lucian can see how well the crops are growing and identify the pests munching on the leaves. With this knowledge, Lucian understands what would look great on them. Meanwhile, Anna and Ron sit happily, enjoying the sight of Lucian selecting some herbs. Ron steps away from Anna to dash over to some herbs. When Ron catches his eye, Lucian glances at the herbs Ron pointed out. This is the healing plant he has been looking for. Lucian gently pats Ron on the head with affection. Anna calls Lucian to show him the plant she discovered, using her magic to examine it. Lucian discovers that it's a highly toxic mushroom that can be deadly if consumed. After expressing his gratitude to Anna, he decides to keep the mushroom. He doesn't actually need it, but it could be risky if Anna accidentally eats it. Later on, Lucian gathers all the herbs he requires. When Anna inquires about his intentions, Lucian confidently replies that he plans to create medicine. He doesn't hesitate and quickly dives into his work. With the help of alchemy, he begins to create the medicine by crushing the Futicoro grass. This enchantment truly comes from a divine blessing. It's quite handy as well. After crushing and blending it with water, Lucian keeps stirring, just as the instructions indicated. He always believed that creating medicine would be harder than this. Out of nowhere, the mixture erupted in a dazzling flash. The potion is ready. It helps plants grow and keeps bugs away. A week later, Sammy excitedly tells Lucian that the medicine he created is fantastic. Sammy has only tested it on a small section of the field, but the plants there are thriving much quicker and healthier. It feels as if they were never drooping at all. Lucian is thrilled to know it's going well and eagerly awaits the successful results of their efforts. Out of nowhere, a group of farmers shows up to ask Lucian if A could share some of the medicine with them. They all notice Sam's field and want to protect their own crops from pests, too. Looking at them, Lucian understands how much his life has changed. Before, he focused solely on mastering magic and never bothered to create things for others. Watching all the smiling faces of people enjoying what he created feels amazing. Naturally, the young sage shared his remedy with everyone. Later, Lucian puts on the sling bag his dad gave him. It's an old bag, but it seems just right for him. Sophia feels anxious about letting Lucian go to town alone. His parents have very different responses to the situation. Sammy was fine with Lucian heading to town, but Sophia felt anxious, despite Sammy's promise that their son would be safe. Plus, Lucian could always use his magic to handle any trouble. Sophia's nerves aren't getting any better. Just before Lucian heads out, Sammy gives him a bag of cash. The whole village came together to help Lucian buy the paper he needed. They all said it was a gift to thank him for the great job his medicine does. The cash should cover the cost of a notebook and a pen. Sammy then tells his son to watch over the money so he doesn't misplace it. The villagers don't have much money to waste. Still, they were handing over this amount to Lucian. With a smile, Lucian expresses his gratitude to his parents. Sophia reminds him to avoid strangers and to head straight home after finishing his tasks, wrapping him in a warm hug. Sophia reminds Lucian that he will always be their beloved child, regardless of how incredible his magic becomes. After saying goodbye to his parents, Lucian sets off towards the town. For a kid like him, the trek to town takes 2 hours. Luckily, he's anything but ordinary. Lucian starts floating in the air with Ron, using gravity and wind magic. It's a bit challenging to manage his position with the wind magic, but he'll master it with some practice. At this pace, Lucian will arrive in town soon. In the meantime, a butler inquires if a nobleman named Mlan is facing any issues. The man expresses that he senses a strange energy in the air. Ignoring this feeling, Mlan informs his butler that they are heading to town now. Soon after, Lucian touches down and feels pleased to have gotten there sooner than he thought. He and Ron have finally reached the bustling town of Dark. Lucian dives into his tasks, starting with picking up the flowers Anna asked for. Then, his dad told him to grab something as well. Lucian headed off to find grab some kelp. With all the shopping done, Lucian just needs paper, a pen, and some ink. Even though Lucian is aware that a general store has what he needs, locating one among the crowd will be difficult. So, he chooses to ask someone for help. Out of nowhere, Ron sees something and zooms over to it. Lucian trails behind him, and Ron comes to a halt in front of an elderly man with a beard who assumes Ron is looking for something to eat. Lucian quickly says sorry for Ron's actions, but the old man enjoys giving Ron some affection. He even believes the fairy is just a cheerful dog. As Lucian gazes at the elderly man, he gets a warm impression and thinks about asking him for help. He shares that it's his first visit to the town and inquires if the man knows where he can find paper, a pen, and ink. The elderly man grins at the young wise one, seeing this as a fortunate coincidence. He happens to be the owner of the only paper shop in the Dark. He brings Lucian into his shop and searches for the supplies the young scholar requires. The old man then presents Lucian with the pen and ink available in his collection. With his arms crossed, the shopkeeper questions Lucian about whether he has enough cash for the paper he wants. In total, it will set Lucian back a significant 120,000 ren. Lucian places the bag of cash on the table and informs the elderly man that it should cover the cost of the paper. After tallying the bills, the old man verifies that it totals 120,000 ren. The elderly man expresses his regret to Lucian for questioning him. It's not that he views Lucian as just a child or anything like that. Several people have attempted to negotiate prices or delay payment. Given that paper costs a lot these days, it's understandable for the shopkeeper to be careful. The shopkeeper gives Lucian 30 sheets of paper, the entire supply he has. The store doesn't keep many in stock to prevent theft. As soon as Lucian grabs the paper, the young sage shines with joy. Ron is thrilled too. Lucian is still puzzled about why people regard paper as if it were a treasure. The young sage hasn't figured out why paper holds such importance in this time. What really took place during the centuries he was away. Regardless, even though Lucian is thrilled about the paper, he understands it still won't be enough to create a grimoire. His thoughts are suddenly broken by the sound of the shop door opening. The butler from before walks in. Next, Lord Mlan arrives. The elderly man warmly welcomes him to his small shop. Lord Mlan has come for the same purpose as Lucian, to purchase every piece of paper in the store. The shop owner quickly bends down to whisper to Lucian, urging him to get out before he's spotted. Then, the shopkeeper returns to charming Lord Mlan, expressing how thrilled he is that the Lord traveled all the way to town just to purchase his paper. Noticing he has taken all the paper from the shop, Lucian decides to leave before things get more complicated. He approaches Ron and informs the ferry crew that it's time to depart. Just as they're about to leave, Lucian catches the shop owner discussing Lord Mlan's research on magic. Lucian stops in his tracks when he hears Lord Mlan mention that paper is the easiest and most flexible option for writing. Lord Mlan continues by explaining that learning magic is a hobby for nobles. He decided to continue his studies in magic. Lord Mlan even brought in a past court mage to teach him privately at the Del Roa estate. Discuss wealth. Just hearing about the old court magician makes Lucian's ears perk up with interest. Since his rebirth, he hasn't encountered anyone else who can use magic. He is eager to witness firsthand how much magic has progressed, especially since it's said that only nobles possess this power. Lucian can't help but be fascinated by magic. So, when Lord Mlan discovers that all the paper is sold out, Lucian steps forward and admits that he was the one who purchased it. The shop owner is taken aback, believing Lucian had already departed. The young sage offers an apology, explaining that something caught his attention. Lord Mlan quickly approaches Lucian, offering to buy the paper for double its worth. Naturally, the Lord won't demand it from Lucian, as that would bring disgrace to the Deladroa family. Lucian turns down the Lord's proposal, insisting he also needs the document. He won't part with it, regardless of the amount the Lord suggests. The shopkeeper steps in. This is a good deed, after all. Lucian then shares that his true desire isn't cash, but to witness Lord Mlan's magic. The shopkeeper is taken aback, noticing that Lucian is now even more thrilled than he was earlier with the paper. Chuckling, Lord Mlan accepts Lucian's request. Stepping outside, he finds a crowd gathered, eager to witness his magical display. For some, this will be their first glimpse of magic. The butler goes up to Lord Mlan, advising him to relax because his rival is just a kid. The Lord boldly claims he's just here to catch Lucian off guard. Good luck with that. Lucian feels a rush of excitement in his thoughts. He's about to witness someone else's magic for the first time. Bowing his head, Lucian demonstrates his respect to Lord Mlan. Delighted by the young sage's focus, Lord Mlan soaks it in and taps into his magical abilities. A bright light shines beneath Lord Mlan as he summons the wind spirit. This makes Ron hiss, his eyes filled with fury. When Lord Mlan finally unleashes the wind, magic he summoned, a soft breeze envelops Lucian. While the crowd cheers for the Lord's impressive spell, Lucian's previously eager expression is now blank. Mlan chuckles as he notices Lucian's face, which shows pure astonishment, as if he's too shocked to speak. He then leans an arm on Ron, who is perched on top of Lucian's head. The Lord thinks Lucian has just experienced the incredible magic of a Mlan up close, and this moment will stay with the young sage forever. However, what Lord Mlan doesn't realize is that Lucian is actually having a frustrated debate with himself in his mind. Lucian is really let down by what he just saw. What was that all about? Lord Mlan referred to it as wind, but it was just a soft breeze. Lucina number 2 was eager to see how much Noble's magic had improved. However, the chant and the magic told a different story. With his arms crossed, Lucian 3 is shocked that Lord Mlan used spirit magic. His disappointment is clear and strong. Spirit magic involves using luck and magical circles to summon spirits and tap into their strength, which is the cost for its use. In Lucian's past life, he was skeptical about spirit magic. Do people really need spirits to perform magic? It seems like everyone just takes that for granted, but is that really the case? As Lucian examined his hands, he thought that people could tap into magic by themselves without relying on spirits. He knew it well because he had done it himself. Focusing on his hands, Lucian created fire without needing to summon any spirits. This confirmed his idea. People can actually use magic on their own, without any spirits. Lucian demonstrated that the spirit was not needed. His finding faced criticism and skepticism, but some people were intrigued by it. Before Lucian could share his exciting new magical find, he tragically passed away from a terminal illness. He genuinely believed that someone else would continue his work and render spirit magic unnecessary. Can you believe it's been 500 years? The young sage appears confused about how much magic has declined. Many people were fascinated by spirits and luck. Did everyone simply brush it off as the nonsense of a quirky recluse? Lucian jolts back to the moment when he hears Lord Mlan chuckling and teasing him about whether the Lord's magic made him lose control. The Lord even jokes with the crowd, asking them to get Lucian a new pair of underwear. Lucian is not pleased with the mockery and is determined to demonstrate to Lord Mlan a type of magic that relies solely on skill, not spirits or luck. He raises his hand and calls forth wind magic without speaking a word. The stack of wooden crates behind Lord Mlan shook as Lucian's magic intensified. Soon after, the wind picked up, becoming stronger and more violent. catching both Lord Mlan and his butler off guard. Before long, the force of the wind becomes too much for them, causing Lord Mlan to stumble. Lucian then carefully clenches his hand into a fist, allowing the wind to gradually calm down. That was the initial move in the magic of wind pressure. Breeze. Lord Mlan can't believe what he just witnessed and heard. Such strong wind magic? It couldn't be that strong without summoning the spirits. The wind that Lucian created blocked his view of Ron being carried off by the force. The frightened fairy is really scared of being up in the sky. Luckily, Lucian manages to grab him just in time. Lord Mlan is still taken aback by what happened earlier. As he sees Lucian hugging Ron, he begins to wonder about the true identity of this young boy. The Lord chooses to bring Lucian back to his estate. During the ride in the carriage, Lucian and Lord Mlan chat about magic. Lord Mlan, arms crossed, reveals that the only magic he understands comes from summoning spirits in return for magical energy. For a magic scholar like him, this is basic information. When Lord Mlan informs the young sage that his magic is nothing like what he has learned, Lucian readily agrees. In his thoughts, he feels sorry for his mom for returning home late. He said he would head straight home after running his errands. It looks like that plan has changed since Lord Mlan took him earlier, curious about the magic Lucian had demonstrated. Lucian is aware that Lord Mlan had dabbled in magic as a hobby for nobles. However, it's only now that the young sage understands that Lord Mlan has chosen to dive back into his studies and start learning magic all over again. Lucian can't criticize the Lord for his ambition and determination. He also can't overlook the Lord's hard work and passion for learning magic. The butler then catches Lucian's eye, expressing regret for Lord Mlan's earlier behavior. With a hint of concern, the butler explains that while Lord Mlan is a fantastic master, he tends to get overly enthusiastic like a child whenever magic is in the air. Lord Mlan feels embarrassed and quickly tells his butler to cut out the nonsense. But there's nothing he can do about it. He really enjoys watching and using magic. That's why he was so surprised by Lucian's abilities. His heart raced with joy. The idea that there's a type of magic you can use without summoning spirits or reciting spells was thrilling. Lord Mlan's face shines with excitement as he shares his desire to use this kind of magic as well. Watching him, Lucian can see just how much he truly loves magic. Lucian inquires with Lord Mlan about why only nobles can wield magic. When he questions the reason behind this, Lord Mlan replies simply, bloodline. Lord Mlan has learned that a person's magical ability is linked to their bloodline. To wield magic, you must belong to a certain lineage. Lucian feels a deep sadness. This way of thinking appears so random. Do these people really want to keep magic only for the rich and powerful? But magic doesn't require a certain lineage. Lucian is a clear example of this. The only reason Lord Mlan could come up with is that Lucian might be an undisclosed offspring of a noble family. However, this can't be true, because Lucian is aware that he is just the only son of an ordinary farmer. The butler suspects that Lucian might be the rebirth of a powerful spirit, but Lucian insists he is just a regular child with regular parents. Why is magic only for the wealthy when it should be available to everyone? The people around me could all use magic if they just took the time to learn it. At that time, Lucian devoted himself to studying magic intensely, developing new ideas and viewpoints. He also explored different methods to understand it better. When his education came to an unexpected stop, he received a range of suggestions from various people, including kids. Technology advances more when a wide array of individuals share their thoughts instead of just a handful. After 500 years, it's surprising how different the world is from what Lucian first imagined. To share his wisdom and support the growth of magical technology today, he must challenge this narrow-minded view of magic. Anyone can learn to use magic if they put in the effort. They have now reached Lord Mlan's estate. The butler quickly heads off to get the Lord's tutor, while Lord Mlan asks Lucian to share the same tale he told before. Since Lord Mlan doesn't know much about magic, he isn't in a position to judge the young sage. Lucian nods, recalling that Lord Mlan's teacher is a former court mage. He then inquires about what kind of person the teacher is. Lord Mlan beamed as he shared that his teacher is an extraordinary talent who became a court mage at an incredibly young age. At the same time, the butler walked into the teacher's room. He informs the teacher about Lord Mlan's call. To everyone's surprise, the esteemed teacher is actually a young girl named Sorrel Melislan. Can she grasp Lucian's tale, or will this girl scheme against our hero? As Mlan and Lucian wait for Sorrel, the Lord has his staff set up tea and snacks. While they wait for his teacher, Mlan encourages Lucian and Ron to relax and make themselves at home. Lucian and Ron gaze at the treats with sparkling eyes. What more could they anticipate from a noble? This might be the first time Lucian has come across such exquisite treats in his 6 years of being reborn. Noticing Lucian's surprise, Mlan shares that he has a big love for sweets, which is why there are always lots of pastries during tea time. When Mlan gives the thumbs up, Lucian and Ron grab some food, and are immediately blown away by the incredible taste. Ron, thrilled by the pastries, becomes a whirlwind of excitement as he devours them. Lucian watches Ron with concern. Can a fairy like him really eat something like this? A knock on the door catches Lucian's attention. The butler is back, bringing Sorrel with him. As Lucian steps into the room, he sees Sorrel, known as the youngest court mage ever. Her cheerful and feminine vibe is unmistakable. She meets Milan and quickly inquires about his thoughts on magic. Milan kindly requests Sorrel's perspective on the situation with Lucian, as he feels he can't make a decision by himself. Sorrel has been practicing magic for quite a while and used to be a court mage, so this should be right up her street. Looking at the two, Lucian thinks the girl is around 14 or 15, which is younger than he anticipated. What really piques his interest is that she used to be a court mage. That suggests she must understand magic better than Milan, doesn't it? Lucian has many questions bouncing around in his head, particularly about today's magic. He struggles to catch what Milan and Sorrel are talking about. It seems Milan is trying to clarify Lucian's presence to her. Sorrel shoots a disapproving glance at Lucian before turning to Milan, urging the Lord not to buy into such foolishness. With her arms crossed, Sorrel emphasizes that magic needs spirits to work. What Milan might have witnessed was likely just an illusion or a trick. Lucian's eyebrows knit together in confusion. What did she just say? Milan feels a little puzzled. A kid wouldn't go out of their way to do something like that to him, would they? Sorrel still thinks this is a prank meant to win Milan over because he loves magic. Choosing a kid like Lucian is a clever way to make Milan relax, a trick often used by con artists. Milan is deep in thought. Meanwhile, Sorrel heads over to Lucian to reprimand him for his prank. She once more highlights that everyone knows magic needs spirits. Sorrel isn't naive about this and calls Lucian a spoiled kid. Lucian observes everything quietly, looking at the witty Sorrel sitting across from him. She compliments the young sage for daring to pull off such a trick on Milan. She gets why a regular kid like Lucian would be fascinated by magic. Snatching a cookie, Sorrel tells Lucian to say sorry the right way, and then she might think about revealing some real magic to him. Lucian observes as Sorrel takes a huge bite of the cookie, only to be disappointed by its toughness. It's not just a little dry or overcooked, it's much worse. It's as tough as stone. Now, Lucian feels chatty and tells Sorrel that a past court mage like her isn't anything remarkable. Lucian picks up a cookie and grins as he teases Sorrel for being too trusting to eat one without noticing the spell on it. Sorrel examines the cookie closely, feeling puzzled by Lucian's comment. This is a great chance for Lucian to tease Sorrel about not knowing a basic hardening spell, which is a simple earth magic. It actually bothered Sorrel a little because she does know the basics. She never imagined that a spell could turn a cookie this tough. Yet, after Lucian demonstrated his magic, the girl wouldn't accept it and dismissed it as just another one of his pranks. She sharply tells Lucian that he switched her cookie with a stone one. Sorrel brings some tea, scolding Lucian to cut out his silly tricks. Just as Sorrel brings the teacup to her lips, it unexpectedly bursts into the air due to Lucian's fire spell. She stares at her cup in shock, realizing it's completely empty. The tea has completely disappeared. Just as she was about to speak again, Sorrel unexpectedly rises into the air. She fights to hold her skirt down while shouting at Lucian to clarify what's going on. The young sage replies nonchalantly that it's simply gravity magic. Sorrel dismissed his spells as simple magic tricks, thinking that would show his magic is real. Now worried, Sorrel confesses that making someone float can't just be a joke, and Tati is starting to trust Lucian. She quickly asks to be let down. Now settled in a chair, Sorrel reveals that she was too taken aback to pay attention to the cookie and tea, but she definitely sensed the magical energy guiding the gravy. Sorrel still can't understand why Lucian's magic doesn't need spells or circles to summon spirits. It would make more sense if Lucian claimed it was just a clever trick. Lucian casts the gravity spell again, making Ron and a few cookies hover in the air. If Sorrel still doubts him, Lucian is ready to lift her off the ground too. Perhaps this time he could get her to twirl. Sorrel quickly dismisses this idea, stating that what occurred was more than enough for her to trust it wasn't just a trick or a con. When Lucian requests her apology, Sorrel quickly replies that she's sorry. Then she reflects on how serious the situation is. There is magic that doesn't need spirits. Sorrel has never come across anything like that, not even at the magic school. The Magic Academy is a school focused on teaching magic, with locations in every area of the Gastiana Kingdom. There are 5 of them, and it appears that almost everyone goes to one. Milan will visit that place one day as well. Right now, Lucian understands where the true source of all trouble lies. These places are where false stories about spirit magic are shared. Lucian then says he wants to join the academy too. Milan and Sorrel exchange glances. Then, one of them asks Lucian if he truly grew up in a regular village. Once Lucian hears this, Sorrel warns him that gaining entry could be tough, since only those related to nobles can join the academy. She has witnessed this happen far too many times there. People without noble lineage were seen as lacking magical ability and were turned away at the entrance. Yet, Mlan recalls a rumor he once heard. Once, there was a girl with a remarkable gift for magic, but she was the daughter of a merchant. Normally, she wouldn't have been eligible to join the academy, but they made a special exception for her. It would have been a shame to lose her amazing gift if they had rejected her. The twist is that, after some investigation, they discovered she was a far-off relative of a noble family. Regardless, the merchant's daughter was allowed to go to the academy. Mlan still points out that this is all based on hearsay, so he isn't sure how trustworthy it is. After hearing this, Lucian still believes he has a chance to join the academy, even if he comes from a village. Sorrel is happy to help by writing him a recommendation letter. That is, if he says sorry for his earlier tricks. It looks like this ex-court magician really knows how to hold a grudge. Lucian bows and genuinely says sorry for tricking Sorrel, who is joyfully soaking up the spotlight. Naturally, she forgives him. Lucian smiles and thanks Sorrel, playfully calling her Winiek-chan, which makes her feel great. She knows being shy won't impress Sorrel, but she still requests Lucian to say Witchan again, and he happily agrees. As Mlan enjoys his tea, he feels pleased to see the two of them getting along nicely. Soon after, his expression shifts to a serious one, as if recalling a question he meant to ask Lucian before. In addition to the plan to join the academy, Mlan suggests to the young sage that he think about becoming the sole mage for House Dea. Lucian feels puzzled by this idea. While Sorrel is thrilled and eager for him, Mlan tells Lucian that being a special mage is like being his advisor. The Lord seeks Lucian's thoughts on magic, much like how a court mage advises a noble family. Sorrel adds that becoming a full-fledged mage is a big privilege. It's a whole different experience compared to working as a private tutor like she does. It proudly holds the top spot for dream jobs at the academy. Mlan beams with a warm smile, his eyes sparkling as he shares his passion for magic. He enjoys every aspect of it, observing, using, and learning about it. Magic is his passion, and it fills his life. He remembers the joyful times he spent at the academy, the lessons Mlan learned. There were things he loved to share with his late mother. Mlan's mom came from a humble background. Mlan's dad instantly fell for her and overcame all the objections to make her his wife. Once, when Mlan was just a child, he hurried home from school, eager to share with his mother what he had learned about probability. Mlan's mother felt a great sense of pride when he shared a simple magic chant with her. Mlan couldn't wait for his mom to try it out as well. Sadly, Mlan's mom softly tells him that she can't. Mlan remembers her exact words from that day. She explained to him that she had no noble lineage at all, which meant she couldn't use or learn magic. With a heavy heart, Mlan reflects on how he will always recall her words and the sorrowful expression she wore when she spoke them. A few years later, Mlan's mother died. While he can't restore her smile, Mlan wishes Lucian is correct, that it's possible to use magic without family connections or spells. Lucian is sure about this. He comes from a farming background, not a noble family. He doesn't even need spells to perform magic. If everyone gains the right knowledge, anyone can tap into magic, and all kinds of creative ideas will come to life. The familiar magical methods we know will soon fade away, giving rise to a new kind of magic. This fresh magic promises to make our world a more vibrant and fulfilling place. This is the world that Lucian once imagined. Now, it's the world he is striving to create. Lucian shares his vision of building that kind of world. To start, he must join the academy and absorb all the knowledge he can about spirit magic. Mlan beams with pride like a big brother, while Sorrel fights back tears, touched by Lucian's resolve. The young sage feels a bit anxious about Sorrel's response, and wonders if the tough cookie from before has hurt her tooth. Wiping her tears, Sorrel tells Lucian that she's deeply touched by his talk with Mlan. She then rises and places her hands on his shoulders, promising the young sage that she will write him a recommendation for the academy. Even though Sorrel isn't sure how well it will work, she's willing to take the chance. Mlan believes it will be amazing. She used to be a court mage, so her letter of recommendation will definitely benefit Lucian. With everything talked about, Lucian should head home to fill his parents in. It's getting late, and they must be really anxious. The butler asks Lucian for his address to arrange a carriage ride home. When he mentions Neelm village, everyone is taken aback. Lucian's house seems to be quite a journey, even by horse and cart, but they'll make sure he gets there. Mlan will join them to sincerely apologize to Lucian's parents, while Sorrel will use wind magic to make the carriage go faster. Lucian then cuts in, saying they shouldn't worry about it because he can get home by himself. Now everyone is quiet. They take Lucian outside and bid him farewell. Everyone watches in awe as he soars into the sky. The instant Lucian left the estate, he activated his floating magic and vanished with a swift rush. Pretty cool compared to a carriage, right? What's even more thrilling is that our understanding of magic is about to shift. Milan is excited to see that come to life. He also needs to get ready for Lucian's move to the academy. Before that, the butler points out the various duties he must handle. Sorrel gazes at the sky, smiling warmly. She shuts her eyes and brings her hands together to summon the wind. While she focuses, Milan inquires about her actions and words, but she shyly brushes him off. As they head home, Ron drifts off to sleep and starts talking in his sleep. While Ron cuddles against Lucian's chest, the young sage reflects on the Magic Academy. An academy for learning. It's probably the source of all wrongdoing, spreading outdated spirit magic. Lucian sees them as pure wickedness. If Lucian can actually get into the academy, he needs to check out the classes they offer. He's really eager to find out what the academy is like. 5 centuries have passed. At the academy, a girl with short hair sits on a bench, jotting down notes in her notebook. Out of the blue, a boy came up to her and said it was time to go home. Will these folks befriend Lucian shortly? A few days after getting back from Milan's place, Lucian sees that Ron looks different. The fairy seems to have grown or changed somehow. Lucian first believed Ron's fur was simply getting thicker, but lately, he has felt much heavier on his shoulder. When he used his magic to check, Lucian discovered that Ron's weight had strayed far from what is healthy. Ron needs to get moving to shed some pounds. Lucian points fingers at all the treats Ron enjoyed at Emlan's place. Thanks to Lucian's determination, Ron goes through a tough routine of exercises, including sit-ups, push-ups, and running. Once they finish, Lucian feels pleased with the effort they've put in and the sweat they've earned. Now, Ron looks much bigger and heavier than he did before their workout. When Lucian uses appraisal magic again, he discovers that Ron's fat has transformed into muscle, meaning he's now all muscle. Lucian thinks having muscle is better than being overweight. After they quit working out, Ron slowly went back to how he used to look. What an exciting journey this has been. We're already looking forward to the next one. The day to head to the academy has come, but things aren't going as expected. At the moment, Lucian finds himself surrounded by 3 teenage girls who are all taken by his charm. Everyone is focused on Lucian, which has never happened to him before. The girls, thinking he might be a missing child, ask him where he's from and who his parents are. Lucian steps forward and declares that he's not a lost kid. He introduces himself as Lucian Gildalba and mentions that he's here to enroll at the Agil Royal Magic Academy. Now, let's rewind a few days, shall we? When Lucian got back from Milan's mansion, he shared everything with his parents. He expressed his desire to attend the academy to study magic. He also mentioned that if he couldn't get accepted, Milan had offered him a job as the Lord's personal mage. He then presented his parents with the handwritten letter that Milan had sent them as evidence. They were quite taken aback, but the sight and texture of the paper letter amazed them even more. It's completely unlike the wooden boards they've always relied on. Lucian shares the details of the letter with his parents, letting them know that Milan will help cover his tuition and fees. He is eager to attend the academy. Sammy feels proud of his son's talents and shows his support, but Sophia shares her worries about it. She isn't fond of the thought of her 6-year-old son attending a large school. She's also concerned that Lucian might face bullying from other kids. It's a spot meant for the elite, and Lucian doesn't belong there. He tries to call his mom to clarify, but Sophia gets to her first. Even though she disagrees, there's not much she can do since her son has already decided. Sophia understands her son very well. When Lucian decides to do something, he sticks with it. After all, he is their child. Sammy walks over to his wife, giving Sophia a warm smile as he assures her they will back Lucian's dream. A few days later, the entire family gets an invitation to Milan's mansion, where they learn all about the process of joining the academy. Sammy and Sophia are riding in a carriage for the first time, and the journey has left them feeling a little dizzy. While they chat, Milan tells them about Lucian's incredible magical abilities. Lucian's arrival could reshape the future of magic. His significance is immense at this moment. Milan informs them that the Magic Academy only admits students from noble families, and the fees are quite high. However, the House of Delore is willing to help with the costs. Sammy asks Milan for a little time to consider the financial help the Lord has provided. Lucian wonders why his dad would suggest that, knowing they can't afford the tuition on a farmer's salary. Sammy and Sophia knelt before Milan, pleading with the Lord to watch over their only son. Milan was meant to help Lucian with the transfer process, but an unexpected issue arose. Milan kept saying sorry and told Lucian to head to the academy by himself, which is why Lucian is now alone with these 3 teens. As he stands there, Lucian reflects on his family. They bid him farewell with warmth. He's truly shouldering their dreams. He can't simply be thrown out for being a lost kid. Before the girls could spot a guard, Lucian lifted his hand and called forth water with his magic. The girls gaze at the sky, amazed by the enchanting sight. Lucian hopes this will help them realize he's not just a wandering kid. Perhaps they'll realize that he's here to learn magic, just like they are. The girls are quite impressed by Lucian's skills. He used water even though there wasn't any around, and was able to create it just by saying the spell's name. The girls were impressed, but they couldn't hide that they ended up drenched. This got Lucian thinking. He never meant to leave these girls drenched. He raises his hand once more to call upon the wind. In a flash, the girls are all dry. Lucian can use both of his powers at the same time. The girls believe this young boy might be a genius, but Lucian thinks that's a bit over the top. The girls think he is special, because he just used magic from 2 different elements. That's a big deal since not everyone can do that. Usually, individuals can only control one element. Upon hearing this, Lucian feels a surge of anger in his ears. Who planted these lies in people's minds? There may be connections and flaws, but there's no limit to the resources one can tap into. Lucian can't stop analyzing everything. He feels he can't just let this magic school run on its own. He should sign up soon and check out what else this school offers. The girl with short hair then warns Lucian not to use magic on others unexpectedly. She knows Lucian is here to learn magic, but splashing someone with water isn't really polite. Realizing this, Lucian bows to say sorry, and the girls praise him for being a good sport. Soon after, the girl with short hair offers to escort Lucian to the teacher's office and shares her name, Arena. The other 2 girls had their own tasks to attend to, so they departed, leaving Arena with Lucian. Since the trip to the teacher's office is a bit long, Arena gives Lucian some apple juice. She also brings along orange juice, just in case he gets thirsty on the way. The young wise man hesitates at first, but in the end, he accepts the apple juice. Lucian tells him he has no option because his taste buds are like those of a child. After a couple of sips, Lucian finds he enjoys the mild sweetness and slight tang of the apple juice. The 2 of them soon reach Teacher Gertz's office. Arena eagerly tells him about the incredible boy who wants to join. Noticing Arena's enthusiasm, Teacher Gertz suspects that the boy is the one recommended by the Della Delore family. The child surprises Teacher Gertz. Lucian steps forward, introduces himself, and hands over the money for his school fees. When Teacher Gertz inquires about Sam's noble status, Lucian truthfully tells him that his father isn't noble. Teacher Gertz isn't surprised by this, as it's become quite normal lately. It seems that having a distant noble relative is enough for the entrance requirement. So, Lucian's father doesn't have to be a noble himself. Lucian's earlier response wasn't quite what he intended, but fortune might be in his favor since Teacher Gertz clearly misinterpreted it. Teacher Gertz then requests Lucian to complete a form that asks for his name, age, birthplace, family background, and any magic training he has had. Lucian is unsure about his family's background. In the village, it's usual for many residents to be longtime friends. Teacher Gertz sees that Lucian has paused his writing and looks lost in thought. When he inquires, Lucian candidly shares that he is unsure about his family's background. Teacher Gertz raised an eyebrow and told Lucian that if he truly was a noble, he should know where he came from. At that moment, everything clicked for the teacher. Just as he was about to reprimand Lucian, Arena stepped in to stand up for the young sage. She informed the teacher about Lucian's skill in wielding 2 kinds of elemental magic, leaving Teacher Gertz taken aback. Arena insists she witnessed Lucian using both water and wind magic right in front of them. Now, Teacher Gertz has nothing to say. What Arena is claiming seems unlikely, but why would she make up stories for an ordinary person? Lucian then steps in, raising his hand to join the discussion, and presents the recommendation letter that Sorrel had written for him. Teacher Gertz is surprised. Could Lucian be talking about Sorrel, the youngest mage ever at court? From Gertz's response, Lucian could see that Sorrel's recommendation letter is excellent. However, Sorrel has already left her job as a court mage. Gertz appears unaware that Sorrel has been brought on as a private tutor from Lan. After reading the letter, Gertz confirms that Sorrel's letter is genuine. Gertz, responsible for overseeing transfers and knee admissions, informs Lucian about a small test he must conduct at the training grounds. When they arrive, Gertz summons the spirits to create a magical barrier around the field. He commends Lucian for noticing the barrier just by observing. Then he shares that the academy has a similar kind of magic surrounding it. It's a top-notch facility that requires a special keycard for entry and exit. By the way, Gertz is puzzled about how Lucian managed to get into the academy without one. Did Arena open the door for the boy? Lucian tells the teacher nonchalantly that he was able to get rid of it. Gertz can't believe he actually dropped Lucian's money bag. He quickly bends down to gather up the spilled items, saying sorry as he does. Gertz's smile vanishes as he looks at the grimy coins scattered on the ground. He grabs one, shocked by how dirty it is, with every part covered in grime. Lucian bowed his head and said sorry, explaining that this money was what everyone in his village contributed for his school fees. 2 weeks earlier, after Sammy and Sophia went to Imlan's mansion, Lucian was tidying up some tools when his dad summoned him. They wanted to gift Lucian something special. To their surprise, it turned out to be a bag full of cash. It's for Lucian's school fees and his daily costs. Sammy has already figured out the total amount. Lucian sold his paper to Imlan, so the young boy will have about 3 million ren, counting the money bag. Lucian decided to sell his paper because going to the academy will keep him busy, leaving him no time to create magic books. However, reaching 3 million still seems unlikely. So, where did the cash come from? The coins are all dirty and rusty. It's completely unlike what he got from Imlan. Lucian could only come up with one more response to his question. This is from all the folks in the village. They previously helped him purchase his paper. Noticing the gentle look on Lucian's face, he tells his son that he represents hope for those who, like them, cannot wield magic. While Imlan is a decent lord, other nobles view them as mere commoners, seeing their lack of magical ability as a sign of failure. Some villagers had faced ridicule and mistreatment from noble families. So when Sammy announced that his son Lucian would be going to the academy to study magic, the community was thrilled and generously offered financial help to the family. Lucian is their beacon of hope. Carrying this bag of cash feels heavy. Lucian isn't someone special. He came back to life due to his old regrets, and that's the sole reason he exists today. As Lucian reflects quietly, Sammy tells his son that they intend to express their gratitude to Imlan and turn down his offer to help pay for Lucian's school fees. Sammy and Sophia prefer to manage this matter within the village. They talked it over with everyone, and everyone was on board with the choice. If things didn't go as planned and they couldn't gather the funds, Sammy and Sophia intended to reach out to Imlan for assistance. Everything turned out just as he hoped. Lucian smiles warmly as he thanks his parents. The cash in his hands carries the hopes of everyone for Lucian to make a difference in the world. Returning to his chat with Gertz, Lucian explains that the villagers all contributed a small amount so he could go to the Magic Academy. The mention of the word village makes Gertz tighten his fists. When Lucian confirms he comes from a small village, G's expression shifts to one of clear disgust. Gertz insults Lucian, calling him a dirty peasant kid. He already questioned Lucian's claim to noble heritage. Looks like Gertz is showing his real self. This teacher is not just teasing Lucian, he's also questioning the recommendation he got from the House of Dilatalor. He is really relieved he discovered this before the exam. Gertz doesn't want some commoner to join and tarnish the reputation of the academy. Lucian is familiar with this situation. In his previous life, he encountered nobles like Gertz, who were strict purists and strongly opposed any mixing of their bloodline. They look down on and treat unfairly those who aren't of pure blood. Lucian, still crouched down, doesn't care about the insults. What sets him off is when Gertz calls them filthy peasants. Gertz is disrespecting not just his parents, but the whole village too. This fool has no idea how much they fight every single day. Still, he has the nerve to make fun of them. Gertz wore a self-satisfied grin as he lifted his left leg toward the crouching Lucian. He then told the boy to clean his shoes with his tongue, hinting that he might think about letting Lucian take the test. He also belittles Lucian, telling him to remember his status and labels him a peasant kid. Lucian glares at Gertz, visibly hurt by the teacher's remarks. The teacher remains unfazed, even warning Lucian that he might fail. If Gertz simply mentions the word fail, Lucian will lose his chance to stay at the academy. Gertz moves closer, spots the money on the ground, and gives it a kick. He believes Lucian shouldn't practice magic with such dirty coins. Lucian's patience has run out. The young sage rises slowly to respond. Gertz shouldn't refer to his parents and the villagers' hard-earned money as dirty. While some coins might be old or a bit dirty, they represent what everyone contributed to Lucian. This is important to the young wise one because most families in the village aren't very well off. Gertz just laughs it off. Dirty money is dirty, whether it's lying on the ground or tucked away in a bag. Before, my only goal was to share magical ideas and skills for Lucian's benefit. But that's changed now. Now, it's time for Lucian's parents and the villagers who support him. For those who lack magical abilities, for everyone around the globe who thinks they can't do it. Determined, Lucian shouts that he's ready to take down the misleading beliefs of people like Gertz. Without hesitation, he unleashes a whirlwind of dust magic. Godspeed. Gertz chuckles and tells Lucian to quit barking up the wrong tree because the young boy is just a simple peasant. Gertz fails to notice Lucian's sudden attack. The young sage has used a technique that toughens his arms and legs to the strength of diamond. He turned on impact nullification to eliminate the kickback from hits. Plus, Lucian triggered enchantment fixation, causing Gertz to suffer in agony. The teacher missed Lucian's quick move and warns not to take him lightly. Gertz quickly summons the spirit to cast the fire spell. A sudden blast fills the air with dust. As the smoke settles, Gertz believes he has conquered Lucian. He even makes fun of the boy, saying that the true magic is what he calls spirit-calling magic, clearly showing the gap between nobles and peasants. As he adjusts his glasses, Gertz ridicules Lucian for whatever simple trick he was about to attempt. Gertz is taken aback to find Lucian still on his feet. Lucian then shares his frustration, questioning how Gertz can call himself a teacher. Lucian took the teacher's blow just to see how strong it was, but he was let down by its weakness. It's hard to believe Gertz called that real magic. Gertz is on edge, watching Lucian behind the water shield. How is it possible for a kid to use magic without a circle or any spells? After telling Gertz that it's just a basic water trick for beginners, Lucian declares that it's his turn to strike back. Before Gertz could summon the spirits once more, Lucian swiftly unleashed a magic technique known as Triple Fang. This allowed him to deliver a powerful punch to Gertz's chest. Lucian recalls when Sammy inquired about his dreams for the Magic Academy. His ambition has remained the same. He wants to go to the academy, grasp the existing knowledge, and challenge the magic that people often overlook. With one last punch to Gertz's face, Lucian quickly takes down the teacher in just moments. This is true magic. After the fight between Lucian and Gertz, Arena assists the young sage in gathering the coins that are spread across the ground. After finding the final coin, Irin walks over to Lucian to hand it to him. At last, all the missing coins are gathered together. Lucian bows his head and genuinely expresses his gratitude to her for her assistance. Arena responds that it's nothing to worry about. However, her smile dims slightly as she tells Lucian that she should actually be the one saying sorry. Arena felt bad for just standing by, while Gertz hurled insults at Lucian. When she apologized, Lucian reassured her not to stress, saying he thought she handled the situation well. He didn't want Arena to get caught up in his troubles. Just then, they heard Gertz groan. He was awake and hurt. When Lucian inquires if he's awake, Gertz is terrified. He recoils and questions Lucian about who he really is and what he has done to him. With a hint of sarcasm, Lucian replies that he's Gertz's top pick among ordinary kids and that he just relied on magic. This infuriates Gertz, who accuses Lucian of lying. He doubts that Lucian used any magic, since he neither spoke a spell nor summoned any spirits. Claiming Lucian is cheating, Gertz loudly declares his final verdict on the test. He has let Lucian down because he thinks Lucian has no magic skills. Watching Gertz, Lucian is shocked by how much this man despises ordinary people. Is it that, or does he just dislike that a kid beat him up? Now that I think about it, Sorrel felt the same way. Given today's magic standards, it's hard to gauge Lucian's abilities. However, he's uncertain if Gertz would grasp the same reasoning. Arena steps in to support Lucian. Just because the young boy didn't summon any spirits doesn't mean Lucian lacks a magical background. That's simply not right. Gertz has made his decision. He oversees the transfer exam, and his choice is final. Gertz warns that he will take action against Arena if she talks back again. What a poor sport this guy is. Out of nowhere, an old man's voice cuts through their argument, telling them to stop. It's Headmaster Khan. Lucian watches the headmaster closely and notices how expertly the old man moves and looks around. He thinks that the headmaster might have been like a martial artist when he was younger. Gertz and Arena are now standing straight in front of Headmaster Khan. When questioned about his presence, the elderly man explains that he came after hearing a suggestion from Count Dodore's household and wanted to assess this person's strength. The headmaster laughs as he mentions he saw the game earlier. Gertz has really impressed him. After hearing this, Gertz thinks that Headmaster Khan should accept his final choice. Gertz argues that Lucian didn't even use any magic. To add to the trouble, he informs Headmaster Khan that Lucian has no intention of paying the tuition. Lucian swiftly counters, explaining to the headmaster that he can actually use magic. He had already set aside the money, making Gertz's claim unfounded. Headmaster Khan ponders this for a moment. Is it not magical just because no spirit was summoned? With a laugh, Headmaster Khan sees nothing wrong with the magic Lucian performed. Gertz is shocked and at a loss for words. Headmaster Khan explains how Gertz, one of the 30 selected mages of the Gastiana Kingdom, was defeated by a child in mere minutes, which Headmaster Khan describes as nothing short of magical. That should be enough to show talent. Still, Gay reacts strongly because he thinks the academy shouldn't accept and train inexperienced soldiers. He then mentions that the academy's aim has always been to instruct magic to students from respectable families and to develop their skills further. At the end of his remarks, Gertz chimes in, pointing out that Lucian is not a noble but just an ordinary person, which makes Headmaster Khan burst into laughter. Gertz shouldn't insult Lucian after losing to someone he considers an ordinary person without noble heritage. Garrett clenches his jaw and attempts to justify his defeat by saying he was surprised by Lucian. Headmaster Khan sees this as a smart strategy to overcome a rival. Meanwhile, Gertz claims that Lucian missed his opportunities and failed to summon the spirits. This only makes Headmaster Khan angrier, and he shouts at Gertz to be quiet and admit he lost. Lucian can't believe Gertz actually claimed he was surprised. He wasn't really giving it his all against the teacher. If Gertz is among the 30 mages picked by the kingdom with that level of skill, Lucian can confidently guess that the mages or the magical technology here are not very strong. After handling the situation with Gertz, Headmaster Khan turns to Lucian to let him know that his exam skills show he truly has talent. He then retrieves the failing stamp that Gertz had originally placed on Lucian's paper. Lucian shares that he wouldn't be upset if this academy rejected him. He would just find another school and give it another shot. Headmaster Khan chuckles again, realizing they almost overlooked a gifted child. Bending down, Headmaster Khan is already aware of the situation from what Gertz shared, particularly about Lucian gathering money from his village for the enrollment fee. When asked about his goals at the academy, Lucian sincerely replies that he aims to show that even someone like him, an ordinary person, can wield magic too. He dreams of a world where magic isn't used to treat non-nobles unfairly. Headmaster Khan, smiling, is truly impressed by Lucian's response, saying it's more than satisfactory to him. He then agrees to let Lucian start at the academy tomorrow. Lucian is really grateful for the headmaster's choice. Even Arena feels joyful for the young boy and ends up giving him a hug. It's a bit uncomfortable for Lucian though. As Gertz keeps an eye on the children, he leans in and softly asks Headmaster Khan if everything is all right. The headmaster teases the teacher for being a poor sport, but he also tells Gertz that he has a strategy in mind. This plan seems a little suspicious. Lucian and Headmaster Khan head to the office to handle the boy's transfer paperwork so he can officially join Angel Magic Academy. Headmaster Khan has approved Lucian's recommendation letter and received the tuition fees. Starting tomorrow, Lucian will officially be a student at Angel Magic Academy. Yay! Principal Khan talks about some classes too. The academy typically organizes students into 3 classes based on their rankings. Because it's difficult to assess Lucian's magical abilities, the headmaster has chosen to place him in first year, class 3. When Lucian gets an envelope marked with the academy's official seal, he understands that while the headmaster has accepted his transfer and skills, the academy still doesn't accept his magical talent. Still, the envelope serves as a key that opens some of the magical barriers scattered throughout the academy. It includes Lucian's school ID, prompting Headmaster Khan to advise him not to misplace it. Lucian's eyes light up with wonder. He is now holding a product created with the amazing technology of today. What features does it have that allow it to break through magical barriers? Lucian is eager to return home and take it apart to understand how it works. With Headmaster Khan finished with the key details for Lucian's transfer, all that remains is to collect the uniforms on the first floor. I don't believe Lucian cares about that either. He's still focused on the envelope he just got. Curious to see what's inside, Lucian casts a spell to inspect it. This is his first chance to explore the magic circle of this era, and he wonders if they also practice spirit magic. But Lucian's smile disappears, and confusion takes over his thoughts. He hadn't really seen it clearly before when he was looking from a distance. The envelope works with a kind of magic that's a bit different from the spirit magic used 500 years ago. He explores it further but struggles to identify exactly what sets it apart. This is unlike the spirit magic Lucian is familiar with. The one he holds now feels like it's reaching out to something beyond. Suddenly, Lucian is jolted back to the present by the sound of a bell. Even more puzzling is that he can't recall leaving the academy at all. Even though it seemed a bit odd, Lucian attributes it to his tendency to get lost in anything magical. He gets so wrapped up in it that he often overlooks everything happening around him. He vaguely remembers leaving with the headmaster and Gertz. Glancing at the envelope once more, Lucian finds he can't gather any more details from the magic circle on the key cards. The question remains, are the spirits from this time different from the ones Lucian is familiar with? With no answers in sight, Lucian chooses to head home, eager to see Ron. When he reaches the inn, he is met by Ron, who is waiting for him with tears in his eyes. Lucian hugs his fairy friend, who clearly missed him. Thompson Garrick also stops by to say hello to Lucian. He manages the inn in Dannel, the same town as Angel Academy. Thompson quickly asks Lucian about his grades, and the young boy shares his successful scores. With a cheerful laugh, Thompson is thrilled to hear about Lucian's results. He also shares that Milan has been extremely worried about him. People whispered about Lucian being a rare talent who would transform magic forever. After giving Lucian a gentle pat on the head, Thompson guided the young boy to his new room. Thompson and Milan seemed to know each other well. Because of this, Lucian was given permission to stay at the inn while he went to the academy that Milan recommended. Thompson and Lucian ascend the wooden ladder to reach the boy's room. Once they open the window, Thompson expresses his regrets to Lucian for the cramped space. Thompson typically uses this room for storing things. Lucian appreciates it and expresses his gratitude to Thompson. Even if it's just an attic, Lucian feels lucky to have the chance to sleep here. This is Lucian's first chance to have his own room since being reborn. He flops onto the bed and joyfully reflects on his previous life. Having a personal room used to be common, but now it's hard to find one in the Gildorf home. Lucian is feeling worn out from running errands all day and starts to drift off to sleep. As Ron smiles and keeps an eye on him, Lucian drifts into a deep sleep, lost in thought about where he might be. Out of nowhere, Ron stands before him, eager to share something. Tears start to stream down Ron's adorable face as he reveals how lonely he felt while Lucian was at school. He then gets Lucian to promise that he will never leave Ron again. Lucian has no option but to agree to his fairy friend's request. The following morning, Lucian dresses in his new uniform. At Angel Magic Academy, students can choose between standard uniforms or custom-made ones from a particular shop. Naturally, Lucian chose the pre-made option. He doesn't recall it clearly, but he seems to have gone to collect it after his conversation with the headmaster. Lucian arrived at school with Ron, welcomed by a lively atmosphere. She noticed Ron hanging onto Lucian's shoulder. Lucian takes Ron and introduces him to Irina, who gives the tiny fairy a gentle fluff. Lucian then shares that he hadn't planned to bring Ron to school, but the little fairy was too attached to him to let go. Irina mentioned that pets aren't allowed in the academy, so she advised Lucian to sneak Ron into his bag. Luckily, Ron is mostly just a ball of fluff and easily squeezed into Lucian's bag. Next, Irina offers to show Lucian the way to his classroom. She then inquires if he got his card key, and he replies that he did. Their chat is abruptly interrupted when someone insults Lucian by calling him a brat. Lucian spins around and spots 3 teenage boys. The person in the center mockingly tells Lucian to leave, saying this academy isn't a daycare. They claim there's no magic to teach a kid like him. Wow, that was pretty rude. Maybe this kid needs to experience what happened to them too. An older boy teases Lucian for going to the elite academy. He believes that just because it's filled with nobles, it doesn't mean everyone there is polite. He even calls Lucian a spoiled kid who can't handle magic right and tells him to go back home. Lucian simply looks at the boy with a blank expression. When it comes to comparisons, these teens are the troublemakers. Soon enough, Lucian snaps back, telling the boy he already has the key to show he completed the process, so there's no reason for him to head home. Angry, the boy yells at Lucian for talking back. This time, Irina jumps in to defend Lucian. She stands up for Lucian, saying that the headmaster has already informed him he passed. If this kid has any more issues, he should take them straight to the headmaster. The boy scolds Irina, saying it's not her business. But Irina stands her ground and defends Lucian, explaining that he will be attending the same school and taking the same classes as her, which makes him her friend. Lucian glances between the arguing teens and soon sees Irina's shaking hands. She looks frightened, yet she stands up to the bullies for his sake. These troublemakers are targeting Lucian, and Irina isn't involved at all. She can just move on. Still, she chooses to stand up for Lucian for some reason, since they are friends. A term that Lucian never connected with in his previous life. Do friends look out for each other, even when it doesn't concern them? Out of nowhere, the kid shoves Irina away, telling her to be quiet and get out of the way. She falls to the ground, grimacing in pain. The kid then mentions that he's a competitor for the Magic Warrior title, so he's not someone they should challenge. Lucian, who quickly bends down to Irina, is now really angry. He glances at the kid and wonders if this little one is always so full of himself around those who are weaker. Magic warriors really do have that kind of strength, don't they? The kid is now upset with Lucian, warning the young sage that he'll get hurt to make him see. With that, the kid summons the spirit of the earth. Irina angrily reprimands the boy because using magic outside of class is not allowed. However, the boy ignores her warning and keeps trying to summon the spirit to use rebuild. As Lucian observes the kid, he's eager to see what kind of magic he will perform. At last, the kid has finished his transformation and now has muscles all over, particularly in his arms. The kid has the nerve to flex his muscles and taunts Lucian, asking if he's too scared to say anything. Lucian is shaking, but it's not out of fear. He's doing his best to hold back a laugh. Just one slip up, and he might let out a big chuckle. The kid isn't being any help either. He's even bragging to Lucian about his strength, saying the young sage will be sent packing as soon as he gets punched. Rebuild is a magic that boosts physical strength. It uses mana to enhance the visible muscle on the body. Watching this foolish kid at the moment, Lucian is curious about what these students are being taught in the academy. If only they understood his magic theory well, then this kid could really learn how to enhance his physical strength. Regaining his calm, Lucian notes that this older kid is all show with no real strength. It's disappointing to witness someone lacking evidence yet claiming to be a witness. This response doesn't sit well with the troublemaker, but Lucian is pleased he took the bait. Irina quickly gets up to fetch a teacher, leaving Lucian to handle the bullies for now. Lucian learned from Irina that using magic outside of class is not allowed. However, he plans to keep his magic use a secret so no one finds out. Lucian casts a spell of dark magic. Out of nowhere, strange shadows pop up above the boys' heads. Due to these factors, the kid can somehow pick up on his friend's thoughts. One friend teases him for the weak bullying, while the other laughs at him for relying on the only magic spell he knows. The kid always reacts the same way, because he can hear what they're thinking. He gets really angry and yells at his friends to say what they just said again. The two friends nervously take a step back, searching for reasons to explain their words. They're only trying to put a positive spin on their remarks. As the kid lifts his arm to swing at his friends, Lucian observes the three fools brawling. He's pleased that his magic worked smoothly, but a little let down that none of these kids tried to resist his spell. Resist is a spell that helps shield you from magical attacks. Not having it is like going into battle without armor. Once the troublemaker gets rid of his friends, he looks at Lucian, realizing that this might be the young sage's doing. In fact, this troublemaker even admits he was using resist. What did Lucian do? When he heard this, Lucian was shocked. What does he mean by using resist? The kid keeps claiming he was using it before. Now he's furious and ready to hit Lucian, but his fist slams into a wall instead. Initially, the kid believes Lucian is just casting a shield spell. In reality, Lucian is employing a unique magic technique known as threefold physical reflection. Out of nowhere, the push this kid gave to the wall rebounds back at him like a boomerang. Now, it's the kid who's being sent flying out of town. Lucian waits eagerly but feels let down when the kid stumbles. The young sage did absorb the force 3 times over, but unfortunately, the kid didn't soar as far as he had wished. That simply means the kid never had the strength to knock anyone out of town. While the kid is busy feeling lightheaded in the bushes, Irina shows up with Teacher Gers in tow. She quickly asks Lucian how he's doing and if the bullies bothered him. The girl breathes a sigh of relief when Lucian tells her he's fine. Teacher Gertz is scanning the area. He quickly notices that only 2 people are present and asks about Lioness's whereabouts. Even though Lucian isn't sure who that person is, he connects the dots and gestures toward the bushes in the garden. Teacher Gertz starts to feel suspicious of Lucian. He quickly calms down when Lucian clarifies that it was just a fight among friends after they spoke poorly of him. Lioness got upset and began to throw punches. After Lucian explained everything, Mr. Gertz told him and Irina that he would take care of the rest, so they could go. As they were about to leave, Lucian felt a little uneasy about why Mr. Gez was acting nicer today than he did yesterday. Out of nowhere, the little troublemaker, Lioness, jolts awake from his short nap. He charges over to Lucian, yelling furiously at the young sage. He quickly halts when he spots Teacher Gertz, who asks what Brad is up to. In an instant, all of Lioness's confidence vanishes. Teacher Gertz reminds Lioness that using magic without permission is against the school rules. Meanwhile, Irina softly tells Lucian it's time to get going. Lucian's focus shifts to the chat between Lioness and Teacher Gertz. Right now, Lioness is getting kicked out of the Magic Academy, and the kid is trying to stand up for himself. Teacher Gertz tells Lioness everything that happened. Lucian is saying that Lioness used magic without asking, and was also violent, which means Lioness broke the school's rules. As a result, he cannot continue as a student at the academy, and will be expelled. Realizing how serious this is, Luce attempts to explain his side to Teacher Gertz. It seems that he isn't to blame. He was simply following orders from the professor. Teacher Gertz had come to him to request a favor from Lioness. If Lioness follows the instructions carefully, Teacher Gertz will recommend him to become a magic warrior once he finishes school. This promise makes Lioness incredibly happy. He has always wanted to be a magic warrior. So, the naive boy happily agrees to follow Teacher Gertz's instructions. Lioness echoes the command given by the teacher. He has to take down a kid named Lucian. Teacher Gertz completely rejects these claims and pretends he has no idea what the student is saying. As Lucian listens, he understands why the teacher has been more friendly today. Teacher Garrus, who wanted Lucian to suffer, had Linus do the hard tasks. However, when the plan fell apart, the teacher tossed Linus aside like garbage. Lucian now feels a pang of guilt for his part in the situation. Rather than walking away, he steps up to Teacher Gertz and lays the blame on him, saying he shares the same responsibility as Linus. This is obviously a situation where a student is being treated unfairly for just obeying a teacher's instructions. Lucian is now standing up for Lioness, urging Teacher Gertz to own up to giving the order in the beginning. The teacher, in denial, pretends nothing happened and insists to Lucian that he did nothing wrong. But Lucian stands firm, remembering the exact moment when Mr. Gertz showed up. The teacher quickly inquired about what happened to Lioness. How did the teacher recognize Lioness as their assistant? from just the two people lying on the ground. Teacher Gertz uses Arena as a cover, informing Lucian that she had mentioned it to him, and that Lucian and Lioness were on the verge of a fight, but Arena steps in. She didn't say anything like that. Arena was in a hurry, so she quickly took Teacher Gertz aside and asked her to come over to where the boys were. Lioness just admitted that it was Teacher Gertz who told him to harm a kid named Lucian. Now, the teacher can't run away or make any more excuses. Mr. Gertz gets angry and yells at Lucian to be quiet. Then, he tries to confuse the young thinker. It seems he was ready to release Lucian too, but now he's kicking the kid out for using magic like Lioness. Staying composed, Lucian responds that the teacher had mentioned just yesterday that his magic isn't real magic at all. Does that mean Lucian can't do magic? Lioness, who has been crouched behind Lucian, is taken aback by the young sage's response. Lucian is just a kid, but to Lioness, he looks so big right now. Lucian then talks about Lioness's expulsion, arguing that it's not right for Teacher Gertz to make the decision since he was the one who gave Lioness a chance. Lucian proposes that they talk to the headmaster, who can offer an unbiased perspective. When the headmaster's name comes up, Teacher Gertz visibly tenses and quickly shifts his attitude. He hesitates as he mentions that the headmaster doesn't need to be brought into this, since it's not serious enough for him. Lucian understands that the headmaster would handle it fairly. The headmaster's face lit up with joy at Lucian's transfer to the academy. Gertz didn't want him to find out that he had chosen to expel Lucian by himself. If that's true, Lucian questions Teacher Gertz about whether kicking Lioness out of school is truly the right solution. The teacher feels compelled to involve the mother. At the same time, Lioness feels emotional from Lucian's brave act. Just then, the bell rings, marking the beginning of their classes. Lucian is already running late on his first day. He's not going to forget this. They blame Teacher Gertz for their troubles. When Lucian pushes him to respond, Gertz nervously offers a quiet apology. When Lucian criticizes him for his weak apology, Teacher Gertz quickly bends down to say sorry again. Lucian thinks this is not a pleasant sight. He then encourages Arena and himself to leave. Just before they can, Lioness stops them. This time, a big smile spreads across his face as he thanks Lucian for what he did earlier. He's even using Lucian's name instead of calling him Brat. Lioness humbly bends down to genuinely say sorry for his actions. Lucian realizes he too struggled with his own fears of being immature in this situation. He gestures for Lioness to pause, mentioning that he was just joking too. Lioness chuckles uncomfortably, doubting that this was Lucian's idea of a joke. Arena wonders why everyone was unconscious when she got there. Did something occur while she was searching for a teacher? Lioness reveals everything, surprising Arena when she learns about the magic Lucian used. It was the spell that turned Lioness's own attack against him, sending him flying away. Arena suddenly understands that this means Lucian can't be harmed physically. The young sage casually tells them that it's actually quite common. Lioness and Arena chime in, noting that it's quite unusual. After that, the three of them head off to their classes. Lucian has been curious about how he would handle a sudden issue that popped up right after he transferred. However, it looks like he's also finding some enjoyment at the academy, and even making friends. Following the Gertz incident, the three reached their classroom without any trouble. However, when they got there, the lesson had already started, making it difficult to slip in unnoticed. Arena is anxious about being late for class, particularly because the lesson is on spirology, and the teacher has a tough stance on punctuality. To support the group, Lioness steps up to go first, since he's the one who caused their delay. Just as they were about to act, the door swings open, and there stands Sorrel. With her hands on her hips, she gives a stern lecture to the trio for trying to be sneaky. Lucian isn't overly excited about having Sorrel as their teacher, but the other two are completely amazed. They are in awe of Sorrel Melisland, the youngest court mage ever. Sorrel subtly gestures to Lucian to keep their connection a secret. She nonchalantly asks them to come into the classroom. She understands they're excited to see her, but it's time for them to take their seats. With the only open seats in the back, the three take their places there. When class starts, Lucian turns to Arena and asks if Sorrel is the spirology teacher. Arena mentions that it's typically a frightening elderly man. Sorrel then gathers everyone's focus, announcing that she will only say her words one last time for those who are late. For the next 2 months, Sorrel will be leading the class as a guest instructor. Everyone admires Sorrel for who she is, adorable with lovely blonde hair, just like a doll. As she hears all the praise, Sorrel winks at her students, reminding them that they should feel lucky to be in her classes. She became the youngest court mage ever, leaving everyone amazed. Rumors start to spread among the students about how Sorrel isn't what they expected. They had heard she was a sheltered girl, but it turns out that's not true. When Sorrel hears this, she tells everyone to be quiet. As Lucian thought, being the youngest court mage in history brings a lot of attention. In this society, focused on status and bias, it's quite an accomplishment. However, Sorrel's domineering behavior is having the opposite impact at the moment. Ignoring the murmurs, Sorrel begins the lesson on spirology. At the same time, Lucian tells Ron to be quiet during class. The young wise one will jot down thoughts and pay attention to what they call spirits in this time. Lucian then pulls out his notebook, crafted from collected claws. The young sage has another problem. He's too small for this desk. His height doesn't fit the desk. Even Lioness sees it and looks away to keep from laughing more. Irina finds this adorable. She's chuckling at how charming Lucian appears at the moment. He might be strong, but it's clear he's a little small, so Irina invites him to sit on her lap. This way, he can see better. Lucian can't resist it either. He even asks Irina if he can rest his head on her lap for a bit, and she gladly agrees. With this class being filled with beginners, and just a month since they signed up, Sorrel informs everyone that they will begin with the fundamentals of magic. Magic involves summoning the energy of a spirit by using a spell. In exchange, the user's magic is used up as energy. The nobles clearly have the spirit's blood running through their veins. Since they are related by blood, they can summon their ancestors' spirits and tap into their powers for a short while. Lucian stops writing as he hears this ridiculous claim. Nobles, as the children of spirits. Who started this false rumor? He hasn't come across anything like that in 500 years. From a distance, Sorrel notices Lucian's intense response. She has no options. This is the norm that the magic school teaches in this era. Sorrel clears her throat and carries on with the lesson. If they explore the foundations of magic, it can be seen as a kind of spell. The four powerful elements, fire, water, wind, and earth, along with a magical circle for prayers and spells, which are the words of the prayer. Only when these two come together can mana be harnessed to call upon the spirit's power and create magic. Lucian believes he studied spirit magic 500 years ago as well. While the basic ideas remain the same, there's one aspect that puzzles him. He lifts his hand to ask Sorrel something. Using magic circles to cast spells involves making a fair agreement with the spirit. 500 years ago, scholars of spirit magic suggested the same idea. Instead of saying someone has a magical ability, wouldn't it be better to say they use magic by connecting with a spirit? Sorrel's thoughts are now buzzing. To her, it feels like nothing has changed, but Lucian insists that's not the case. It's all about having the right information and truly grasping it. True power can only be shown when one possesses the hat. Even the smallest misunderstanding can impact how magic is revealed. Everyone looks at the young sage in surprise. Lucian then suggests that it's quicker to demonstrate rather than keep explaining. He requests Irina to perform her usual magic. Rising to her feet, Irina summons the spirit of fire, urging it to respond to her call. As she speaks the spell, a tiny flame flickers to life in her hands. Then, Lucian expresses his gratitude. He wants Irina to use magic while thinking of herself as an equal partner. Irina focuses her thoughts before summoning the spirit of fire once more. The moment a magic circle forms and she calls for fire, a fierce blaze erupts in front of her. Everyone stands frozen, unable to speak. Even Irina herself couldn't believe her eyes. The flow of mana felt completely different as well. Some believe Irina had called upon a more powerful type of magic known as flare. However, everyone heard her say fire. Exhausted, Irina's legs give way, and she sinks down onto the floor. She can hardly believe what just took place. Lucian goes on to show how this illustrates his earlier point. By grasping the knowledge correctly, one can unlock the real potential of magic. Sorrel is shocked, feeling the weight of her agreement with the spirit. The idea makes her uneasy. She quickly wraps up their talk on spirology and announces that they will move on to a hands-on magic class in the exercise hall. When they get there, everyone attempts to create the same outcome Irina achieved before. Sorrel folds her arms and tells Lucian that this is all his doing. If he hadn't made a strange comment before, Lucian would be fine. He insists that his earlier words were not odd. What's strange is their lesson right now, casting spells from 20 meters away. They aren't beginners who just discovered magic. The young sage wants them to practice managing their mana use and controlling their spells, even with the types of magic they already excel in. Suddenly, he slaps his forehead in disbelief. It's so surprising that he feels like he might faint. Seeing Lucian's attitude, Sorrel encourages the young sage to practice too, but he insists he doesn't need it. When Sorrel hears his refusal, he proposes they try something else. If Lucian uses his magic well and outshines her, he can share his thoughts. By, well, Sorrel meant summoning the spirits, seeing it as a great chance to explore the spirit magic of this time. Lucian quickly agrees. They soon mark their chosen target points. When the signal sounds, they will each cast spells at their own targets. The winner will be determined by how precise their shots are, not how fast they are. Irina takes the lead and lifts her hand, then shouts, "Go!" Lucian and Sorrel summon the spirit of the wind in response. As they both say, arrow, a wind shaped like an arrow shoots from Lucian's hand and strikes the target right in the middle. The crowd erupts in cheers for Lucian's perfect shot. They were unaware that magic could be controlled in such a way. Then they looked at Sorrel's target, noticing it remained completely unchanged. Sorrel, in a panic, stares at her hands, puzzled about why her magic isn't working. Lucian, staying calm, tells her he had a hand in stopping her magic. Since it wasn't against the rules, he figured it was fine to go ahead. Now, Sorrel is curious. This meant Lucian was using a unique type of magic, almost like he was juggling tasks. Sorrel was taken aback because no one else in the kingdom could do that. Lucian falls quiet. He's taken aback by what he just heard. He believed that more people were capable of it. This shows that technology has indeed lowered its standards to that level. Lucian asks if court mages also use resist. Sorrel reluctantly admits she never considered it, thinking no one would disrupt her. With a grin, Lucian apologizes for deceiving Sorrel and notes that her resist would have sent his magic back to him. Sorrel is currently standing, with his arms crossed. The students are in agreement with Lucian. This puts Sorrel in a happier state. As long as it's not a type of magic she doesn't know about, the real magic Lucian uses won't affect her at all. Sorrel encourages everyone to keep going with the training. Meanwhile, Lucian feels glad to see Sorrel cheerful once more. Lucian glances at his hands. He notices that it's been some time since he practiced magic while considering the spirits. He sensed the spirit's strength, but it was unlike anything he was familiar with. What exactly are spirits? Lucian, intrigued, turns to Sorrel and asks if she has ever encountered a spirit in this world. Sorrel replies that she hasn't seen it. When Lucian inquires if she knows its appearance, Sorrel explains that it described the four great spirits as being fire or water. Lucian is deep in thought again. It's just like the spirits he's familiar with. He comes back to reality when Arena walks over and asks if he likes spirits. Honestly, he finds himself a little curious about it. So, Arena proposes they check out the archives together after school. There could be books about spirits that might help Lucian find the answers he's looking for. Arena offers to help Lucian get there, and he really appreciates it. Sorrel has been observing their exchange and feels joyful and relieved to see Lucian has found real friends. Arena swiftly greets Sorrel, introducing herself as a friend of Lucian. After exchanging friendly words with Arena, she faces Lucian and confirms that it's true. She feels a sense of relief. Sorrel shares that she had been concerned about Lucian. He is different, and that leads to bullying. Even though it's called an academy, it's really just a place for people to belittle others and show off. Lucian quickly understands that Sorrel might have come as a special lecturer out of concern for him, but Sorrel brushes this off, explaining that her tutoring from Lan has slowed down, giving her more free time. Arena grins at Sorrel and tells her she's a nice person. This makes Sorrel blush, and she hurries off. She tells them to be quiet and warns that if they don't move faster, they'll miss the next class. Arena and Lucian both nod in agreement. Sorrel is a kind soul. After school, Arena and Lucian are on their way to the archives. As they stroll, Lucian shares the story of his friendship with Sorrel. He explains that a lot has taken place, but Sorrel has been his hero, helping him immensely since their paths crossed. Arena realizes why Sorrel can't let Lucian be alone at the academy. She feels the same way as Sorrel. It's because Lucian is small but truly remarkable. Is it his charm or his energy? Arena isn't quite sure what captivates her, but she can't seem to tear her eyes away. That's how she feels, at least. They quickly reach the archives. Inside, there are many books lined up on the shelves. Welcome to the Agile Magic Academy's library. Arena happily proposes that they each search for books on spirits. After some time and a pile of books, Arena decides she's not going to find anything useful. Lucian is still absorbed in his book, but he nods in agreement. He searched everywhere for books that might describe or explain spirits, but none had much information. It just doesn't add up. People today have a strong belief in it, so there must be some magic at work, linked to what we call spirits. If it comes from technological progress that's different from his own, Lucian can accept that it's a form of magic and that there's plenty for him to discover as well. They still share misinformation, just like in the spirology class, and top students like Gertz and Sorrel can't demonstrate much strength. Lucian believes this is due to the fact that people from 500 years ago relied on old magic, which strangely seems to have changed for the worse. As he searches for another book, Arena stops by to help him grab the ones he can't reach. However, she's taken aback to find him floating instead. Even Ron is levitating. It's a mix of gravity and the magic of wind particles. Lucian describes this as a simple way to bring magic to life. Arena is completely astonished. To her, Lucian wields a unique kind of magic unlike theirs. As Lucian lands back on the ground, Arena clarifies her earlier thoughts. Lucian can control water and launch it, and now he's soaring through the air. Arena can't do any of that. Arena appreciates another quality in Lucian. Lucian looks back at her. a kind of magic that's unique to him. If he shares his secret, will she turn him away just like Gertz did? Watching the lovely, innocent Arena play with Ron, Lucian realizes she isn't like that at all. He catches her attention and asks her to stay open-minded while he shares something about magic. Arena and Lucian leave the archives and find a bench to rest on. Lucian tells her that his magic isn't sourced from spirits. Instead, it shows up through his mana organ, which is a special part of his body. A mana organ is an organ that transforms mana into magic. 500 years ago, the finding of this organ played a big role in challenging the common belief that a spirit is needed to perform magic. Lucian then creates a small flame in his hand and explains that everyone is born with a mana organ inside their body. With this, Lucian can perform magic without needing circles or spells. When Arena inquires if she has one too, Lucian quickly assures her that she does. Arena places a hand on her chest, surprised by the idea. Lucian feels a sense of relief, noticing that Arena hasn't dismissed his words yet. He tells Arena that he gets how tough it is to accept this new information right away, but Arena replies that it's not difficult for her. It would feel different if anyone else said it, but when Lucian speaks, it feels genuine. Also, Lucian doesn't rely on spells for his magic. The powers he used in his battle against Gertz all came from his mana organ. It all clicks into place now that Lucian has shared it with Arena. Lucian beams with happiness as he sees and hears that Arena gets it. From Lucian's explanation, Arena understands that magic can be accessed by anyone, not just those with spirit blood. Once Lucian affirms this, Arena's mind begins to spin from all the new information. So what's the deal with the lesson about being related to spirits? And what about how nobles are said to be descendants of spirits, and how the spirits allow Therm to use their magic? Lucian has his doubts. However, he believes that if more townsfolk embraced magic, the community would thrive. Magic should belong to a select few. Arena cradles her face in her hands and remarks on how grown-up Lucian appears. Next to someone like her, who is eager to improve her magic skills and understand it more deeply, Arena suddenly feels ashamed for her selfish thoughts. Lucian reassures her that she isn't selfish at all. Arena's response takes him back to his younger days when he craved knowledge for himself. Reflecting on this, Arena shares her wish to move up to the training school for court mages. Arena dreams of making a name for herself as a court mage. If she fails, she'll have to marry a nobleman from a nearby town. She then looks at Lucian and inquires about his plans after graduation. If everything goes well at the Magic Academy, Lucian could finish his studies in 3 years. Milan had already suggested that he focus on being a committed mage, but Lucian has a different idea. He shares with Arena his wish to become a court mage too. It's been on his mind ever since he noticed how the students reacted to Sorrel in class today. A 6-year-old boy talking about magic wouldn't be taken seriously. Lucian needs a proper title and to show his skills if he wants to share his ideas with the world. Even though Arena trusted his tale, Lucian realized it was simply because she is a sincere and direct person. If Lucian becomes a court mage, a position admired by many, perhaps more people will pay attention to him. Lucian vows to work hard in his studies to become a court mage and discover the truth about spirits. The two friends then agree to give their all before they go home. Arena tells him they can skip the academy tomorrow because it's the weekend. When Lucian arrives home, Thompson is there to ask how his first day of classes was. Lucian is at a loss for words. He can't explain that he rushed in with Lioness, thinking he was late for his first class, only to discover that Sorrel was the teacher, and they ended up having a magical duel. Rather than giving a long response, Lucian tells Thompson he had a great day. Then, he offers to help with anything needed at the inn. With no classes tomorrow, Lucian is eager to lend a hand at the inn. Thompson admires Lucian's willingness to help and commends him for his maturity. He then offers to help Lucian with the cleaning until dinner. Thompson will step away from the third-floor hallway and leave the vacant room for Lucian to handle. Thanks to Milan, Thompson managed to provide food and a room for Lucian at an affordable price. Assisting him was the least he could do to express his thanks. The following day, Thompson gives Lucian a pail bucket. Lucian happily accepts it and begins using gravity to shift the water-filled bucket around. He begins to mop and scrub the floors. While Lucian rinses the dirty mop, he notices the water has already turned black. Lucian understands that tossing out the water frequently would be a hassle from the third floor. He sees only one way to solve this issue. He uses the special power given to him by God. Lucian casts a spell that opens a doorway through space, linking one point to another. If Lucian comes in and sets up a way for the dirty water to drain out, he can quickly get rid of the waste. After that, he'll use some water to collect fresh water. This is an ideal plan. While Lucian wonders why Thompson was watching him before, Thompson had caught a glimpse of the amazing magic happening. The bucket slid by itself, spilling dirty water outside while fresh water appeared without needing to go to the well. He is truly impressed by the remarkable talent of Lucian. Out of the blue, Lucian spots a stack of wood nearby. Tomosen then mentions that he plans to get rid of it later. This afternoon, Thompson took apart a damaged chair. Lucian then asked him if he could keep some of the pieces for himself. When Thompson agrees but then questions Lucian about his plans for the wood, Lucian reflects on the past. Earlier, while the young sage was learning how to use the items in the storage room, he had come across a broken broom. Lucian intends to use blacksmith magic to mold the wood and add a shadow helper as the final detail. The end result will be a golem. Thompson is stunned when he sees the golem. Lucian quickly clarifies that it can mimic his actions. This will make cleaning twice as quick. The golem begins tidying up, and Thompson is amazed to see it doing such a good job. Amid the chaos, Sorrel begins to grumble and steps out of her room. Lucian is taken aback to find that the court mage is also at the inn. Sorrel quickly mentions that her time here is just during her teaching at the academy. Mlan was the one who brought her to this spot. Then, Sorrel inquires about the noise from earlier. She recoils in fright as the golem swings its wooden hand toward her. She yells in fear, wondering what the creature is. Lucian then cheerfully reveals that it's the golem he just created. Upon hearing this, Sorrel is taken aback. Golems are said to be old weapons, and their principles are still not fully understood. It's a kind of magic that even the court mage Sorrel has never encountered, leaving Thompson even more astonished. When Sorrel returns to her room, she insists she has never seen the golem and claims it was all just a dream. She must be exhausted from teaching and needs to get some rest. Once she closes the door, Lucian and Thompson decide to return to their tasks too. A couple of days later at the school, the headmaster called all the teachers together for a meeting. Everyone is worried about what this urgent meeting could be about. The headmaster announced that he got a message from the kingdom's Ministry of Magic this morning. He was instructed to allow some students to join the upcoming Big Beast Control mission, and he has a particular student in mind, actually. Just one. No matter what this procedure is, let's wish it brings Lucian more good than harm. All the teachers at the meeting are shocked by the headmaster's announcement. The students involved in the beast control task seem a bit excessive, even though the announcement came from the Ministry of Magic. The Ministry of Magic is the place where the court wizards work. It's an organization that manages the Magic Academy. The headmaster requests everyone to quiet down, stating that the Ministry of Magic has guaranteed him that the students will not be sent into danger. They will certainly take part in the beast control mission, but their main role will be to handle the transportation of supplies and provide logistical support. The fight against the beasts will be led by the adventurers and the white-winged knights who protect the region. The headmaster believes there's no threat that would push the students to join the conflict. Now, a relaxed Sorrel sees the entire plan clearly. She recalls her time as a student at the academy when she was called out for a similar task. They referred to it as logistics support, but she felt more like a gopher. She sees it as a great chance for students to gain real battlefield experience. The headmaster then adds that the Ministry of Magic requested about 30 participants. They are all going to the forest, home to many creatures. Therefore, they need to select the most skilled students. The headmaster asks the teachers to choose the students and make a list. The event will take place in 2 weeks. The headmaster puts Jerry and Hannah in charge of guiding the students. Both of them quickly accept the responsibility. This afternoon, a notice will be posted on the signboard outside the classrooms to inform the students. Sorrel smiles slightly as she thinks about how Lucian will respond once he hears the news. Once the meeting ends, the students gather around the bulletin board. Everyone seems curious, but Lucian stands out by showing clear indifference to the control operation, leaving Irene surprised. Lioness can't believe how Lucian reacted, wondering if he bumped his head or something. Irene genuinely thought Lucian would be excited about this. Lucian wonders how these two perceive him. He is genuinely interested in the knight's magic, but he knows they won't be on the front lines. Their role is more about support and logistics. It was quite dull for him, really. But now that Lucian has shared his thoughts, the two friends get his perspective. That's the typical Lucian they are familiar with. Irene then shares her curiosity about the control operations. It seems that if they sign up, it will be included as an accomplishment on their graduation certificate. This news has definitely caught Lucian's attention. Since the teachers will select skilled participants, it's very unlikely that they will pick them as a group of 3. However, it doesn't hurt to give it a shot. Irene's biggest desire right now is to succeed. Lioness even proposes that they should raise their hands in class every time to get the teacher's attention. As they discuss the topic, Lucian jumps in and shares that he has had a change of heart. His eyes sparkle with enthusiasm as he expresses his determination to join the control operations team. Irene is excited to see Lucian brimming with resolve. Linus is also cheering for everyone. Everyone will try hard to earn some good favor. So, they agree to kick off their plan in the next class, even though it's a bit challenging. They all go outside, where their teacher Hannah is explaining that a healthy body leads to a healthy mind. Irene and Lioness quickly lose their excitement, realizing it's time for teacher Hannah's martial arts class. He's a retired knight, after all. Now, Lioness is reconsidering his strategy because he can't charm Hannah's bossy nature. Today, teacher Hannah kicks off a talk about praise. Lucian was surprised to learn that the Magic Academy offers martial arts classes. As Lucian examines his wooden dagger, he realizes it suits his current shape perfectly. In real battles, mages who get trapped are just like scarecrows. It's also a good idea to know how to use weapons. At that moment, Lucian listens to his classmates grumbling about the lesson. For them, guns and swords feel outdated. They have entered a world of magic and didn't come to study how to use weapons. Even Arena wonders if this class is truly beneficial compared to the magic classes they attend. The era of magic. Lucian realizes that this is something he can't escape. Everyone is overlooking the power of weapons, even though no one here has ever been in a real battle. History lessons tell us that the last major war in this country happened about 300 years ago. In that moment, Lucian thinks that weapons might be seen as a hassle because they don't reach as far and require regular practice, unlike magic. After Hannah finishes talking, he asks everyone to pair up and stand facing one another. Another girl is calling for Arena right away. Arena swiftly looks over at Lucian. She feels uncertain about leaving because she knows Lucian will be by himself. With a smile, Lucian tells her not to fret and encourages her to go. Arena quickly apologized before walking away. Then, he sensed a hand resting on his head. Teacher Hannah steps forward, ready to partner with Lucian. Holding their swords out, she mentions that it will be tough for students to manage their power when facing someone like Lucian. Teacher Hannah tells Lucian that he will stand up for himself, allowing the boy to hit him without worry. Lucian gratefully acknowledges his teacher's care. It's Lucian's first experience wielding a sword in this body, and it's a great chance for him to discover how agile and responsive he can be in this scenario. He's determined to put in his best effort. When teacher Hannah sees Lucian, she recalls how Sorrel praised his magical skills. Yet, he is just 6 years old. Hannah tells himself to be gentle with the young boy. Out of nowhere, he senses a hidden sharp point at his throat. Hannah looks at Lucian with wide eyes. Could that be a sword spirit? The pain was so intense that he felt like his throat had been stabbed. Is that really a child standing in front of Hannah? Hannah realizes she was wrong to underestimate Lucian just because he's only 6. Now, she understands he can be himself without holding back. With a grin, Lucian shares that he hasn't practiced sword fighting either. They both share that experience. Once Hannah signals, he rushes directly at Lucian. As Hannah approaches with full momentum, Lucian quickly realizes the teacher is employing a thrust that utilizes the body within range. This is a benefit for Hannah, especially since if Lucian gets struck by that, he will be blown apart. But Lucian is aware that he can hide beneath Hannah's chest in this child form. The key is to concentrate all your efforts on a single goal. Lucian expertly disrupts teacher Hannah, throwing him off balance in the process. As Hannah lies on the ground, he questions whether Lucian is truly just a village boy, given his amazing skills. Lucian is not only gifted in magic, but also exceptionally skilled with a sword. As Lucian kneels before Hannah, the teacher remains amazed that this child has been gifted with such talents. Once Hannah gathers herself, he takes a seat and examines Lucian's dagger. He's amazed that Lucian caused so much harm with just a wooden training dagger. Since Hannah is a skilled knight, he had already observed Lucian's techniques before. He applied extra force and his full weight onto the dagger's tip, creating a flawless defense against those who are bigger and stronger. After Lucian expresses his gratitude for the sharp insight, Hannah inquires where the child picked up this skill in sword fighting. Even with his appearance and age, Lucian finds himself in a tough spot. He can't simply explain to his teacher that it comes from a previous life. Exactly. In his past life, Lucian had become skilled in various physical strikes combined with sword fighting. He wanted to find a smart way to defend himself instead of just fighting. By understanding the methods of attack and the ideas behind them, Lucian quickly figured out how to keep himself safe. Additionally, the mana organ is a part of the body. Strengthening the body influences the strength of the magic and how quickly it can be activated. Lucian, a true perfectionist, became hooked on training and studying martial arts during his time off from magic research. Even after being reborn, he kept up his training, a habit carried over from his previous life. Every third time, it turned into a game of tag with Anna. If he shares this with Hannes, he'll likely think he's strange. Even worse, it looks shady. Lucian needs to find a way to slip out of this situation. His clever idea to achieve this is to tell Hannah it's a secret. The teacher doesn't dig deeper and simply chuckles, telling Lucian they can drop the subject. Hannah wonders why Lucian is at the Magic Academy when he can wield both magic and swords. He believes it would make more sense if a powerful figure transformed and entered as a joke. Lucian, looking serious, explains that he learned the current magic demands a deep understanding of knowledge. He believes that grasping the unknown is essential for gaining strength. Teacher Hannah bursts into laughter when Lucian, a kid, suggests that no one will need a teacher anymore. Lucian mentions that he doesn't come from a noble family. Even if he attempts to go to a prestigious school, he will still be judged simply for being the son of a farmer. Lucian needs another way to show his worth. Hannah stands up and nods in agreement with everything he mentioned. He then mentions that seeing Lucian makes him question whether origins really matter. This gives Hannah a glimmer of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, he could have wielded magic as well. Lucian recalls Leonis, mentioning that teacher Hannah is a strong fighter. When Lucian inquires about it, Leonis explains that they are knights who rely on their physical skills instead of magic. Looking at Hannah, Lucian kindly assures him that he can do it because that's the essence of magic. He shuts his eyes and then suddenly laughs out loud. After that, he encourages Lucian to go to various schools and show that he stands out, even without noble heritage. Lucian needs to show he deserves the title, not just hold it. Han even suggests a night school for him after graduation. Teacher Han gently pats Lucian's head and shares that he's simply a guy with hopes for another guy. Nothing unusual about that. Then, another student asks Teacher Hannah a question. As he approaches the group, he quickly tells Lucian that they will have one more game later. The class wrapped up quickly, and soon it was time to go. Before they headed out, Teacher Hannah reminded everyone to stretch a bit first. When Lucian meets up with Lioness and Arena, he appears quite worn out. Noticing this, Lioness comments on his tiredness, and Lucian waves his hands as he tries to explain that he's just feeling a bit lightheaded. His two friends get it because Lucian faced off against Teacher Hannah 5 times in class. He even won all 5 matches, which surprised them. It's surprising to learn that Hannah, the former leader of the Silver Wing Knights, is responsible for maintaining peace in the region. As a strong fighter on the front lines, he shields everyone with his solid presence, much like a tank. Lioness points out that it would usually be unthinkable to make Hannah submit. But now that Lucian understands Hannah was once a captain, he starts to see why she behaves the way she does. Without warning, Lucian's eyes and body give in, and he begins to lean toward Arena. This is definitely not good. Lucian's body has reached its breaking point. Despite the excitement, doing it 5 times was just too much. Once Lucian says sorry to Arena, he drifts off to sleep. Arena then chooses to give Lucian a piggyback ride. As Lioness hauls all their bags, Teacher Hannah observes the 3 friends leaving, feeling a sense of renewal. Hannah has kept pushing himself since he can't perform magic, but who could have imagined? A day would arrive when a young kid would overcome him. As Teacher Hannah sits down, he grimaces in discomfort. His body armor is intact, but he must have some internal bruises. He might have a couple of broken ribs as well. Then he spots Lucian's wooden dagger from before and grabs it. After a careful look, Han notices that there's no trace of magic on it. It's simply an ordinary wooden dagger. Hannah is laughing and feeling joyful, letting go of any protection and causing harm without using magic. Who would have imagined that could happen? Hannah now believes that Lucian's swordsmanship has reached an extraordinary level. Later, Lucian wakes up, surprised to see that Arena is carrying him. It's great that he's awake now because Arena was just about to head to the infirmary. Lioness had already gone to the classroom to drop off their bags. Once Lucian says sorry for the mess he made, he climbs off Arena. This moment makes him realize he has to practice harder. He must have hit his limits and dozed off. His energy is still like that of a child. Arena tells Lucian that the classroom for the next lesson is a little far away and offers to show him the way. Just then, Lucian hears some noise coming from a nearby room. He then tells Arena he's sorry and that he just recalled he has another commitment. As he walks away, Lucian glances into the room where the sounds are coming from. He spots Teacher Gers, who appears deeply focused on something. He grumbles quietly, frustrated that he has to handle such trivial tasks. After all, he is one of the 30 selected mages of the kingdom. Lucian wonders what Gers is up to now. As he moves in for a better look, he notices the targets used for magic practice and sees Gers repairing them himself. The one in Gers's hands is the same one Sorrel and Lucian used during class. Lucian decides to approach Gers and speaks to him directly. It's at that moment that Gers realizes he's no longer alone in the room. Spotting Lucian, Gers shows his irritation clearly. Lucian can easily spot the scowl on Gers's face. As he keeps working, Gers grumbles about being stuck with this task because Lucian has been busy adjusting the target, tidying up the classroom, moving things around, watering the plants, and more. The principal is treating Lucian, whom Gers refers to as a country boy, with extra kindness, even though he doesn't need to. Listening to Gers complain about it, Lucian was unaware that this was happening after the entrance exam. Gers isn't finished yet, either. He believes that magic maze should be exclusive to nobles, and that there should be rules against tricking people by pretending it's magic. Gers shouts that Lucian is to blame for everything. Just when Gers believed a new teacher had arrived, he discovers that they are a former court mage with a higher rank than his own. He's referring to Sorrel. He even describes her as arrogant, and it frustrates him that he's still putting the blame on Lucian. Lucian has stayed silent while Gers talks on and on. Out of the blue, Gers has a great idea. He has completely transformed and is now grinning at Lucian. He then gives Lucian a task to make all the targets look identical. Lucian clearly states that he's not interested. After fixing everything, Gers attempts to tempt him with a treat, but Lucian isn't exactly a kid, is he? He also has a class to go to. Gers suggests that he inform the teacher he's on this mission for him. Gers tells him that being a bit late will definitely be overlooked. Then, Gers dashes out of the room, leaving Lucian to handle the job. The escape was way too quick. Realizing he's one of the 30 selected mages makes Lucian understand just how powerful this kingdom is. With no alternatives left, Lucian dives into his work. He focuses on one target and examines how damaged it is. Lucian can repair these as mentioned, but since all the targets are the same size, it won't improve the student's accuracy. It works initially, but eventually, it won't count as real training once they get accustomed to it. With some good materials at hand, Lucian decides to create a simpler version of his old training tool. Using his magic, he dives into the work. Later on, Sorrel is teaching a class on tactical magic. They will be practicing their spells on targets once more. She advises the students to take their time when activating their magic and to focus on hitting the targets for now. After they feel comfortable, Sorrel encourages them to aim for perfect accuracy. Sorrel sees that some targets are missing. Lucian quickly clarifies that the targets were damaged, so he made some upgrades. Sorrel is unaware of the shadows behind her as she inquires about the upgrades. She had no idea there was so much to consider. She just trusts that Gers is handling the repairs. Sorrel gasps in fright when she turns to find the twisted creations Lucian refers to as his colorful moving targets, crafted with dark magic. The wooden targets are painted in brown, green, blue, and red. They're not exactly receiving the warm welcome you might think. Sorrel quickly approaches Lucian and asks him to explain what these are. Lucian sharply reminds her that they're targets on the move. But that's not what Sorrel wants to focus on at the moment. The students are still beginners, unsure if they can use magic correctly. At the same time, the moving targets are watching them. Out of nowhere, it lifts its wooden arms and casts a spell. Then, it strikes at the students. They're fleeing in panic, scared of the puppets wielding magic. Sorrel continues to lecture Lucian, insisting that the newcomers won't stand a chance against those golems. Her talk is interrupted when a moving target strikes the back of her head, knocking her out. Lucian grabs everyone's attention and warns them that the wooden puppets will keep coming at them. Do they truly want to be defeated by simple puppets? Inspired, the students realize they must take action. In the end, their foe is merely a group of puppets. All they have to do is use a little magic on them, right? Their counterattacks prove ineffective, having no impact on the puppets. Yet, they keep pushing forward, refusing to give up. As Lucian observes his classmates, he realizes that even though it's magic, it resembles launching a ball of mana. He can figure out the right moment to activate it by looking at the magic circle that forms beneath them. The more they freak out, the worse they'll manage things. Right now, the students are completely panicking and are clashing with one another. Someone is frustrated because others aren't helping those who can use their magic. One person insists that they shouldn't be bossed around, while Arena chimes in, saying she's tired of it all. Thank goodness Lucian is just controlling puppets. If they were actually on the battlefield, they would have been defeated by now. One student attempts to strike the puppet with water magic. It was a solid attempt, but the puppet remains standing. Another student casts Reflect Magic on a different puppet. Still no results. Lucian's wooden puppets will show a unique kind of magic. He designed them so his classmates can overcome them by paying attention and using their minds. Lucian has already dropped a hint. As she observes everything unfolding, Arena realizes something. She then gestures to the fabric tied around the puppets' necks. Arena thinks this might show the color of their connection. Just as Lucian anticipated from Arena, this was the clue he mentioned before. Out of nowhere, Lucian senses someone approaching him. Lioness is fired up, suggesting that in moments like this, they should just confront the one casting the spells. Lucian watches as Lioness moves closer. There are wizards like Lioness, so that's a valid choice too. But since Lucian is controlling puppets with machines, fighting him doesn't make sense. The puppets will keep attacking even if Lucian is gone, unless they are stopped. Lioness's fist freezes just before it strikes. His knees buckle as he recalls the loss he faced against Lucian. He knows he can't beat his friend. Lioness is struggling. When Lucian inquires about the issue, Lioness simply tells him to be quiet. At that moment, Arena decides to try out her idea and uses fire to strike one of the puppets. Everyone, Arena included, is surprised to see the puppet go down. She then tells everyone that the puppets push away bad connections. Following Arena's instructions, she asks everyone to use fire energy for the puppet dressed in red and water energy for the one in blue. Everyone starts working together, focusing on their breath, moving at a steady and calm pace. Soon, the crowd erupts in cheers as the 4 puppets are finally taken down. Lucian walks over, applauding and praising everyone for their victory. Who would have thought they could achieve so much against his wooden puppets that fire bursts of mana? Luckily, Lucian didn't set it up to mimic his actions with the shadow supporter. Just when everyone believed it was finished, Lucian revealed there would be another chance. He's confident that some people are unhappy with the outcome, so he intends to organize another match soon. He encourages everyone to give their all. Everyone begs for it to stop. They're not eager to try again, but Lucian believes that once they adjust, he'll need to increase the challenge. In the meantime, Sorrel stirs awake at the clinic.